हेलो हेलो हेलो। All participants are requested to please switch on your mics. सर एक बार टेस्ट करने के लिए कर सकते हैं सर।
ये क्रिस्टोन कीजिए ना, जाने दो यार अभी वो कम से कम क्रिस्टोन सबसे ऊपर क्रिस्टोन।
माइक्रोफोन तो वही है ना आपका?
माइक्रोफोन वही रहेगा। ठीक, ये क्रिस्टोन।
Is there somebody who can help? Mr. Pansali.
देश एक बार आवाज दूसरे एंड से आ रही है आवाज।
हेलो
sir, I am audible.
थोडं खाली घे म्हणजे सहन इथून झूम करा इथपर्यंत आहे ना हा थोडस हा बस 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 आणि हॅलो आय एम ऑडिबल हॅलो फ्रॉम बॉम्बे हायकोर्ट एम आय ऑडिबल मॅडम हॅलो hello hello
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
yes picture quality is clear
It's clear, sir.
Justice committee meeting.
hello
Yes, it's clear,
is
sir.
the picture quality clear
Yes, it is clear, sir.
and audio also clear
Audio is also clear, sir.
Hello, sir. I am from. Am I audible? Hello, sir. I am from. Am I audible? Am I audible? From.
તમારો ઓડિયો વિડિયો ચાલુ કરી દો ને ચાલુ ના કોઈએ પ્રેઝન્ટેશન ચાલુ કરી દો મને લાગે છે અમુક સંખ્યાથી વધશે પછી બીજી સ્ક્રીન આવશે
Hello, sir. I am from Patna High Court. Am I audible?
એ આપણે તમે ત્યાં સુધી ગૂગલ કરો ને બાજુમાં મોબાઈલમાં કે એમાં શું છે એમાં
Hello, sir. I am from Patna High Court. Am I audible? Please confirm.
High Court में audible
Hello. Justice committee meeting. Anybody here?
અચ્છા તમારો વિડિયો હું જોતો તો આમાં
Sir, please confirm from Patna High Court. Am I audible? My voice is
hello
clear.
શું લખેલું છે SJED ગુજરાત
hello
હા 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 જી હા બરાબર છે બરાબર હા અમારો આવ્યો છે વિડિયો મેડમના નામથી જોજો
sir sir I am audible
બરાબર હા ઓકે ઓકે અવાજ આવે છે
So we are testing your audio and video.
હા મારો આવતો હશે
All participants may note that we are testing your audio and video.
Hello. Justice committee meeting. Hello. Justice committee meeting. Audible. Hello.
All participants may note, please. We are announcing your state-wise names. Please respond.
Hello. Mumbai High Court.
hello yes sir
I am audible.
yes sir
Double key diali.
sir I am audible
Yeah.
All participants are requested to mute your mics. All participants are requested to please mute your mics. All participants are requested to please mute your mics. We are calling your name one by one. Please respond.
Allahabad High Court,
Allahabad High Court. Anybody from Allahabad High Court? Please respond. Allahabad High Court.
Mr. Mukesh Chand Sahu, State Government UP, High Court of Andhra Pradesh.
Good morning, sir. This is Manoj Rai, Director WCD UP, and I have joined.
Okay, kindly unmute, kindly mute your mic now.
Sure, sir.
Kindly put on your video, please. UP government.
Yes, sir. Check.
All are requested to switch on your camera and mute your mics. Please switch on your camera and mute your mics. Allahabad High Court. Please do not share your screen. Kerala High Court, do not share your screen now. Anybody from Allahabad High Court?
High Court of Allahabad. High Court of Allahabad. High Court of Andhra Pradesh. State Government of Andhra Pradesh. High Court of Bombay.
Hello. Yes, from Bombay High Court.
Okay. Representative from Government of Maharashtra. Representative from Dadar Nagar Haveli. Representative from State Government Goa. Calcutta High Court.
Yes, good morning.
Okay.
Kindly unmute.
Excuse me, sir.
State government, West
Sir,
Bengal.
I am from the city. I'm audible, sir.
Yes, West Bengal government is present.
Hello, sir.
State government, West Bengal.
Yes, we are present, state government, West Bengal.
Okay, ma'am. State government from Andaman and Nicobar. High Court of Chhattisgarh. High Court of Chhattisgarh, please. State government from Chhattisgarh. Representative from state government Chhattisgarh.
दिल्ली हो गए सर. हाई कोर्ट ऑफ दिल्ली. दिल्ली हाई कोर्ट.
Justice Arun Malhotra.
Okay, sir.
Hello, sir. I am audible. I am from WCD department, Secretary WCD.
You're audible, but you're not visible, sir.
I'm not visible.
Yes, now you are visible.
Okay. My audio there is clear, no?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Guwahati High Court.
Good morning. Guwahati High Court.
Yes, good morning, sir.
Good morning. Is everything clear?
Yes, your video is audio is clear, sir. Hello. Haan ji, sir.
Okay, thank you.
State Government Assam. State Government Assam. State Government Assam. State Government Nagaland.
Good morning, sir.
Sir, good morning.
Sir, I am from the Under Secretary Social Welfare.
Sir, you have not written your names. Oh, sorry, state name, sir, against your name.
Sir, we are having a small problem with the server connectivity. So, because of that, for temporary measure, I have joined with my mobile.
Okay, our video is clear to you, sir?
Yes, sir, it's clear, sir.
Okay, yours is also clear, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
State Government Arunachal Pradesh.
क्या होगा शैली?
State Government Arunachal Pradesh.
बेटा हाँ बिल्कुल तुसी you just sit right there. मैं बस एक सेकंड भी नहीं है. Don't mind it.
All others are please requested to please mute your mics. State Government Arunachal Pradesh. State Government Mizoram. State Government Mizoram. High Court of Gujarat.
Ji, sir. Good morning, sir.
So good morning.
Gujarat High Court, yes, yes, ma'am. Justice Trivedi is here.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yes, you are audible and visible, sir.
From Government of India, whether Madam Asta Saxena has joined? Secretary WCD, can I see on the screen? Have they joined? Office of Ram Mohan Mishra ji. Anybody from Office of Secretary, Government of India, Ministry of Women and Child Development, please?
High Court of Himachal Pradesh. High Court of Himachal Pradesh. High, so. High Court of Kerala. High Court of Kerala. High Court of Kerala. High Court of Orissa. High Court of Orissa.
Good morning.
So very good morning, sir.
Okay.
We are audible, sir.
Yes, yes, audible.
Are we audible to you, sir?
Yes, yes, it is audible.
You are also
I am
audible.
hearing you.
You
I
are
am
also
hearing
audible
you.
and visible, sir. Thank you. High Court of Madhya Pradesh. High Court of Madhya Pradesh. High Court of Punjab is requested to please mute your mic. High Court of Punjab is requested to please mute your mic.
No, why something urgent? Yeah, I'll call you later. I'm gonna call you later.
High Court of Madhya Pradesh. High Court of Madhya Pradesh. High Court of Jharkhand.
Yeah, Madhya Pradesh has joined.
Gurpal Aluwalia, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, you are from Government High Court of Madhya Pradesh.
Madhya Pradesh, Bonalganj.
Yes, sir. You are audible and visible, sir. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
High Court of Jharkhand.
Yes, sir, we are present.
Are we audible to you, sir?
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
You are also audible. Thank you. High Court of Patna.
Yes, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, sir. Audible and visible.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All participants are requested to please mute your mics.
Sir, Karnataka High Court, Kalburgi bench, sir. Audible, sir.
You're from Karnataka, sir?
Karnataka High Court, Kalburgi bench, sir.
Yes, you are audible, sir. Karnataka High Court.
Of Juvenile Justice Committee, Supreme Court. This is Justice Manindra Mohan Srivastava, Chairman, Juvenile Justice Committee, High Court of Chhattisgarh.
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
I am Justice Srivastava from Juvenile Justice Committee, High Court of Chhattisgarh.
Yes, sir, you are audible and visible, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, Madras High Court, may I audible?
Yes, Madras High Court, you are audible, sir.
Sir, may I visible, sir? Madras.
Good morning to all of the participants. Honorable Judge, Supreme Court of India, Shri S.R. Ravindra Bhatt will be joining us shortly. Since the meeting, once it starts at 10:30, it is continuous and there will be no break. So the participants, when they are offline, they may like to take their tea or snacks. This is for your kind information.
Sir, may I also interrupt? This is from Allahabad High Court. Are we audible, sir?
Yes, you are audible, ma'am.
All right.
Is it audible?
This is from Rajasthan High Court, sir.
Sir, from audible?
High Court of Jharkhand. High Court of Jharkhand.
Yes, we are present. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible, ma'am.
We are at two locations.
Now we can.
This is from Telangana High Court.
Honorable Justice Pathak.
Audible,
Justice of Jharkhand.
Sir, this is from Kerala. Is it audible?
Yes, Kerala, you are audible, sir.
This is the record of Karnataka Kalburgi bench audible.
Karnataka, you are audible.
Hello, this is from Telangana High Court.
Has Ram Mohan Mishra ji, Secretary WCD, joined?
From Karnataka High Court, we are from two locations. Are we audible?
Yes, you are audible, ma'am.
This is from Telangana High Court. May I know whether we are audible?
Yes, Telangana High Court.
Sir, this is High Court, Manipur House, sir, audio and video. Sir, this is High Court of Manipur House, sir, audio and video.
Manipur, your audio and video is okay, sir.
High Court of Patna.
Yes.
High Court of Patna.
Whether Telangana High Court video is visible?
Yes, Telangana High Court audio video is visible.
Morning, sir. I am from Punjab High Court.
Jharkhand High Court, Honorable Justice
This is from
S.M.
Telangana. This is from Telangana.
Yes, sir,
Honorable judges
Telangana High Court, we can
state
see you
officers
very
are also participating from the same place.
all the participants are from the same place?
Yes.
Okay, ji. Thank you. Patna High Court.
Sir, this is Madras High Court. We are audible and visible, sir.
Yes, Madras High Court, you are visible and seen.
This is Jharkhand High Court. Are we visible and visible?
Good morning. I am from Jharkhand High Court. Am I visible?
Yes, Jharkhand High Court, sir. Yes, yes, sir. Lordship, you are visible.
Justice Pathak from Jharkhand High Court.
Yes, yes, Lordship, Justice Pathak, we are visible. Audio, video is clear.
Okay.
Patna High Court. Patna High Court. Patna High Court.
Yes, all the other states are having 1 week for the department.
Justice same.
एक मिनट में कंफर्म करके बता दोबारा Ram Mohan Mishra ji, Secretary WCD Government of India, have you joined please?
Yes, I have joined.
I can't see your video, sir.
Good morning, Madam. Good morning, Madam. This is from Madras High Court. We have two locations, one at Madras and other one at Madurai Beach.
Okay,
sir. We have not received contribution for Madurai Beach, Madam. Please.
Okay.
Please allow us.
Shri Ram
Please
Mohan
allow
Mishra
us.
ji. Yes, we can see you.
High Court of Tripura. High Court of Tripura. High Court of Uttarakhand. Ministry of Women and Child Development.
Good morning, sir. High Court of Uttarakhand.
So, good morning. Are we audible, sir?
Audible.
Yes, sir. You are also audible and visible, sir. Thank you. Ministry of Women and Child Development. Ministry of Women and Child Development.
Juvenile Justice Committee.
Hello.
मैं बुला रहा हूँ।
मैं पहले एक बार बोल देता हूँ शॉर्ट में इज जॉइनिंग
वीडियो ऑफ है? वीडियो ऑफ है सर, माइक आप इनका चालू है ना?
पेपर
उनके पास में है ना? उनके पास उनका प्रोग्राम है ना? जिंदर तुम्हारे पास तुम्हारा प्रोग्राम है?
क्या स्टार्ट क्यों नहीं हो रहा, क्या रीजन?
Good morning, all of you. Honorable Justice Shri S. Ravind Bhatt, Judge Supreme Court of India and Chairperson Juvenile Justice Committee, is going to join us shortly. I request you, all of you, to kindly mute all of your mics, and when asked for, only then kindly unmute your mic. Thank you. That's on. Good morning, all of you. I welcome you to the 2 days video conference at All India level with honorable chairpersons and members of Juvenile Justice Committees of various high courts, representatives from Government of India, UNICEF, and state governments. May I now request Honorable Shri Justice S. Ravindra Bhatt, Judge Supreme Court of India and Chairperson Juvenile Justice Committee, to give his Lordship's introductory speech.
Good morning. I will not make it very formal. My brother and sister judges, acting Chief Justices, Shri Ram Manohar Mishra, Secretary of the Ministry of Women and Child Development, Government of India, Ms. Soledad Herrero, Chief Child Protection, UNICEF. We have experienced an unprecedented global health crisis due to the COVID pandemic, which has had a lasting and deep impact on children and child rights. Reports in the press have exposed serious child rights violations during the pandemic, with spike in child sexual abuse and rising concerns with regard to increase in other exploitative practices, such as trafficking, forced labor, etc. In such severe circumstances, the thrust for developing community and family-based options to rehabilitate vulnerable children has taken a backseat, while the childcare institutions, CCIs, such as child homes, have gained prominence. The last several months have been challenging, with children living and staff working in these CCIs. These call for newer norms and compliance standards during lockdowns and other such hopefully never unprecedented crises. New rules given as either advisories from central or state governments or guidelines from the Supreme Court of India, or often as disparate instructions from other child protection functionaries, have held the field. All these underline the importance of compliances across CCIs for greater attention to care and protection of children without parental care. The CCI management has tried their best to cope with these instructions. Reports in the press have, it is time to take stock of how organizations, both within the government and structures within the government and NGOs, have responded to online training programs for in-house residential workers on protection processes and protocols for children and staff residing in CCIs. Their manner of compliance with the latest information and guidelines to deliver a coordinated approach to protecting children and youth during lockdown, whilst none of the senior staff was available on the ground, needs to be assessed. A few organizations adapted to the changing times and have started stocking adequate materials such as groceries, medicines, sanitization, and hygiene-related materials. The pandemic stressed and brought about, laid great emphasis on the need for timely coordination and immediate decision-making to adopt to the new normal of prohibiting entry of day staff in the CCIs to ensure safety. The ban on entry of outsiders actually brought forth additional burden on the few residential staff who had to perform additional roles as makeshift social workers, counselors, tutors, and even online surveillance experts, while doing also household chores of keeping the children well-fed, well-humored, and homes well-sanitized. There are several other challenges which we have faced. Several individuals, such as professional case managers, counselors, and tutors working in the CCIs, were locked out, but they adapted with online tools to connect with children and in-house staff. They have also extended support to keep children and residential staff engaged and diverted with exercises, games, learning, music and dance, painting, etc. This can work. However, being confined in small spaces at homes, asked to don masks and maintain physical distancing, creates new levels of physical, mental, and emotional well-being, and increased stress on children as well as the staff. This stress and anxiety may exacerbate health issues in the children, leading to an increase in self-harm and other uh, mental trauma. The COVID crisis stressed upon the need for timely coordination. Uh, One issue which is very important is sometimes situational anxiety does get the better of locked up children and staff and may result in violence, bullying, and even abuse. But overall, as compared to the situation in normal families where such incidents have risen manyfold, as is evident from the data and the coming helplines, CCIs have been able to work with professional staff remotely. The role of mental health carers and counseling becomes paramount to mitigate this increased risk, including that of child sexual abuse. Monitoring on a day-to-day basis for assessing the overall condition of each child under care and protection to mitigate the risk of abuse cannot be underestimated. Counseling sessions do happen, but to reach those already traumatized and under psychological supervision may not work as they may be reluctant in talking about any issues. This is a barrier to remote counseling, even though efforts are being made in CCIs. The now the other aspect which has come to the fore is the digital divide in education. Technology has become necessary with online learning classes for children in CCIs, even though many CCIs have struggled with lack of adequate devices and internet connectivity. The flip side has been that many children in CCIs, even those under the economically weaker section quota going to private schools, have been marginalized more than ever due to the inadequate access to technology at the CCIs. The rest going to public schools are also having a problem, their own set of problems. Physical distancing and restoration of children is a very important concern, and many of the participants in this two-day summit are going to speak about the learnings which have been gathered in their respective states. The challenge is to develop a quarantine area where space itself is a constraint. It is also not easy to, sorry, yes. Adding to that, the lack of alternative care options in the country has increased the demand for new admission in the already overcrowded CCIs. With most staff unavailable, procedural work to admit a new child or for a child ordered to be restored is also fraught. One of the chief worries between the efforts has been the efforts in several states to restore children back to their families without home study investigations or follow-up. The lack of family support measures in cases of restoration clearly has meant an added resource crunch on the already burdened family, grappling with unemployment, health issues, and a lack of financial support system increases children's vulnerability and jeopardizes restoration. Strong and vigilant efforts to monitor children entering into, living in, or going out of residential care are urgently needed. Another plight in these trying times is that the care leavers, the youth who leave CCIs on attaining adulthood, many of them in their basic jobs are being laid off, resulting in loss of livelihood, homelessness, and starvation with no support or sustenance. CCIs with hardly any systems in place to support these care leavers leave them unattended at times. It is essential that these wards of state should not be forgotten. We all owe a debt of responsibility towards them, their well-being and care. COVID has and will perhaps continue to have an adverse financial impact on the resources of organizations, dependent or independent of government funding, as more and more donors are diverting their funds to direct relief work or other kind of government aid. With life on a spin, these service providers are managing care and protection without parental care from private sources of funding and will need to break out of the mold and create innovative strategies. Our own unsung corona warriors, the child protection functionaries, have been equally responsive and stood up to expectations of the children, management, and governments. Children at an increased risk post-pandemic With greater general impoverishment and resource crunch, it is of concern as to the number of children left out and worse, trafficked into the flesh trade or child labor. The limitations of number in non-institutional care models will result in greater push to institutional care. Many of us are familiar with children being sent back to families from CCIs to reduce the numbers to ensure physical distancing. This is yet another challenge and a concern. Greater poverty results in reduced capacities of families to care for their children. It is vital that we prevent separation of children from their families and support families to keep their children safe, to be taken with monitoring mechanisms. Any unplanned effort to reduce the burden on institutions in the post-COVID era could lead to a rush to send children back, even to dysfunctional families. And I mark, it could even mean those who are extremely vulnerable, such as rape victims, being sent back. This will not be in the best interest of child at all and will take a toll on the clearly already half-baked system. Such first aid responses do not go deep to identify and work on the root causes of separation of children from families. It will only mean opening of revolving doors. All institutions, including governments at both the center and state levels, should continue to closely engage with civil society and practitioners to know the ground realities and come up with new policies and priorities. The nature and trajectory of government benefit schemes, coupled with community-led efforts that prevent separation of children from their own families, will remain the key indicator for child protection in India. In this first meeting of JJC with all stakeholders, the challenges faced appear to have common threads. They pertain to retaining children in CCIs, their health and safety, the health and safety challenges faced due to transportation and restoration, in follow-ups, SIRs, holding of meetings of CWCs and JJBs, and above all, concerns about education and mental health. I thank you all for being here together at a fairly short notice.
Thank you, Lordship, for setting the tone of 2 days All India Juvenile Justice Committee's meeting. The issues of adaptation to new normal amidst pandemic by child care institutions, mental health counseling, digital divide in education, physical distancing and restoration of children, and acknowledging child protection workers organization are key issues which will be discussed at length in the 2 days conference. May I now kindly request Shri Ram Mohan Mishra ji, Secretary in Ministry of Women and Child Development, Government of India, to address the All India meeting of Juvenile Justice Committees. Shri Mishra ji.
At the very outset, I express my deep sense of gratitude for this opportunity to speak to this very august forum. As Honorable Justice Ravin Bajji has very, very rightly emphasized, this is a new normal, and these are very difficult times for all of us. So therefore, the first thing which he has already emphasized is that we need to enhance the efficiency many times more. As district magistrates and those committees. Management, they assume a very, very important role, because everybody is passing through very deep level of stress, and therefore in the normal times, whatever management tools we keep applying, we need to take some very urgent and emergency measures to use those stress busters. And Lordship has already emphasized the role of these other soft factors. So things like yoga, meditation techniques, and then he has emphasized the role of tools for entertainment of the children. These are things which generally are not very much focused and emphasized. But these are the times when all these efforts have to be done immediately. And this is where concerted effort on the part of everybody. Like say there are several departments of the government, and they many times work in silos. So since there is time in those peaceful times with us, then the process goes. But now, in this kind of situation, since our colleagues from the state administrations are also present here, I would like to appeal through you, sir, that a detailed action plan, which is emergency action plan, has to be put in place if already not there. And that action plan has to have all these aspects of management of these childcare institutions and also management of the children in the communities. And this is where you have rightly emphasized the role of those communities. And this is very important. Since UNICEF are present here, they have people present everywhere in the country. So I would like to urge upon them also to projectize it very fast, because process-driven things are there, but then in the project mode, if each district we can immediately drop a very detailed action plan of particularly the short-term measures which are supposed to be taken, and the mobilization of resources, which is to be done. And we need to fix some KPIs. What are those key performance indicators for each agency, each institution? And then a very, very tightly kind of track monitoring system has to be also put in place. So as I said, sir, I am indeed very, very grateful for you having taken this time off to convene this meeting, which is very, very important, very significant. And in these 2 days, since very, very senior people, very, very honorable people are present in this August gathering, in these 2 days, I think all these short-term measures, and I would say that short-term has to be part of long-term also, because resources are already plotted in the long-term initiatives. So those resources have to be tweaked for them to be mobilized in a fast-track mode around the problems which are there, so that the problems can be addressed. And this is where right from the nutrition support to the education support to the counseling support to the stress management, that's very important. And this is where one more thing, sir, I would like to emphasize here is that people who are caregivers, the managers of those homes, many times we do not invest enough in them. Since these are very, very difficult times, I would also urge upon that special programs for building up the motivation of those people. Because as Lordship has emphasized, that this is a parental responsibility of state. The state, all organs, all agencies, institutions combined. And therefore, the benchmark has to be, the parental care has to be the benchmark. And therefore, those routine management things which are purely based on intellectual kind of understanding of things will not be adequate. Efforts have to be made to raise the EQ, emotional quotient of people who are managing these institutions. And this is where I would urge upon that many times these audio-visual tools are very, very powerful. A short film of 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes can lead to certain transformation in the EQ of the people who are managing there. So this has to be resorted to. And then the surveillance process. In my requests with the states in my meetings, sir, I've emphasized that the surveillance mechanism has to be immediately fine-tuned, so whether it is through camera or through whatever methods, that has to be tightened in these institutions. And wherever infrastructure is lacking, like say now increasingly we are going for digital mode of hearing. So wherever these infrastructures are not there, so children, especially in conflict with law, wherever these infrastructures have to be put in place, those also have to be immediately strengthened, enhanced and augmented. And with all these efforts combined, with all these KPIs identified very, very precisely, and monitoring system in place, which is taking note of particularly the quality of services which we are rendering. And this is where generally we do not map that. The quality part we don't map, we just map the numbers. The quality part is important. And therefore, one more thing, sir, I would like to suggest to the state administration particularly here, is that the feedback from the beneficiaries is important. Many times we take report from only the management people. So some sort of random feedback from people or the beneficiaries, I think will go a long way in terms of improving things. We are also compiling all this here, sir. And whatever support is required from union government side in these endeavors, once the states have compiled all this and The committees who are going to go through this have looked into this. One of these days, I seek time from you, sir, and then come and call on and make a presentation on all this we learn from as part of feedback. And maybe together, if you have a detailed action plan to take care of the short-term, medium-term, and long-term requirements of these children in terms of their overall well-being. And this is where Ayush systems and can be put to greater use, I would say. In last meeting, I had requested the states that aesthetics, ambience of those campuses, some more maybe flowers, maybe put in place a little waterfall there. It doesn't cost much. And some more volunteers to be brought in, some more retired people, some more educators. So this soft part of the management there, if it is taken care of, sir, it will go a long way in terms of improving the quality of services which are entering. And I won't take too much of time, sir. Once again, I'm very grateful for getting this opportunity to speak in this very august forum. And I look forward to feedback of this two-day deliberation. And then I'll seek time from you, sir, and then come and meet you whenever you give time, and then make my own humble contribution in whatever I can make towards betterment of the situation in these very, very difficult and special times in the country. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mishra.
Thank you, Secretary Shri Rahman Mishra, sir, for your enlightening words. Now, in this part of the conference, we will have presentations from 7 high courts. In the first half, we are having 5 presentations on the issue of restoration of children in need of care and protection by Honorable High Court of Kerala, Honorable High Court of Odisha, Honorable High Court of Madhya Pradesh, Honorable High Court of Jharkhand, Honorable High Court of Patna. To begin with, may I now kindly request Honorable Mr. Justice Shaji P. Chally, High Court of Kerala, to make his address and presentation. Over to Kerala High Court.
Honorable Justice Ravindra Bhatt, brother and sister judges, representatives of the central as well as the state government, representatives of the UNICEF, ladies and gentlemen. We are very happy that the Supreme Court has come forward to convene this conference, even at the time of this pandemic situation. Due to the time lag or the time constraints, I propose to go to the presentation directly so as to keep the timeline also. The state of Kerala has made remarkable efforts in making deinstitutionalization the fundamental principle of JJ Act a reality. Alternatives like adoption, foster care, sponsorship, etc. are being implemented, limiting institutional care only in essential cases. Accordingly, as per the available statistics, out of the 22,005 children housed in the childcare institutions up to March 2020, 6,031 children are now housed in the 743 homes in the state, of which 27 are government-run homes and 716 are NGO-run homes. The number of children being readmitted to the CCIs may increase slightly during the post-COVID period. In compliance to the observation of the Honorable Supreme Court in State of Tamil Nadu versus Union of India regarding deinstitutionalization, the State of Kerala has undertaken an extensive restoration plan and has issued several directions. The government has directed that those children who have gone to their homes during the lockdown period shall be readmitted to a CCI only upon the orders of the Child Welfare Committee. The CWCs shall ascertain whether the child being admitted in a CCI is indeed a child in need of care and protection. The government has further directed the Women and Child Development Department shall conduct home study of those children who have gone to their homes for the implementation of the deinstitutionalization process. Further, the government has accorded sanction for the deinstitutionalization program initiated by the Women and Child Development Department with the objectives like strengthening family relationship, increasing self-discipline, and self-esteem, improving socialization, overcoming inferiority complexes, etc. The Women and Child Development Department, following the directions issued by the government, has developed a restoration plan for the deinstitutionalization process. As part of the plan, home study of the children and family shall be conducted, and based on the home study, a social investigation report shall be developed. Based on the SIR, the children shall be categorized into those who can be deinstitutionalized to the families, children who can be sent for foster care, kingship foster care, or adoption, and those children who cannot be deinstitutionalized. Detailed list of children who can be sent for foster care, kingship foster care, or adoption will be prepared by DCPU and submitted to CWC for further process. And with the aim of restoring those children who are identified as cannot be deinstitutionalized, specific family level interventions by trained professionals are planned, and only those children who cannot be deinstitutionalized even after specific family intervention will be institutionalized as a last resort on the order of the Child Welfare Committee. Now, the access for children to formal and informal learning opportunities and overview. Those children who are restored to family shall be provided with specific interventions and support services as per the observations made during the home study process. Steps are taken to ensure that every child has access to formal learning before he or she is sent to his or her hometown or a foster home. Sponsorship programs have been launched to support all children who are interested to pursue education. Support measures are provided to those children who need long-term follow-up services in continuing their education. Such support measures are provided by counselors, rescue officers, ORC mentors, retired probation officers, and ICDS officers. At this point, I would like to mention that the participation of the Keralites as a whole in ensuring online classes to all children is laudable and truly appreciable. Challenges faced in the process. Though the government of Kerala has taken remarkable steps in its efforts towards the deinstitutionalization process, given the current scenario of the pandemic, there have been several challenges, roadblocks in implementing the same. Some of them are travel restrictions due to COVID-19 for home study, children not being available on phone, difficulty for case-wise intervention due to movement restrictions within several districts of Kerala, scarcity of staff, etc. In spite of the several challenges, as mentioned above, the government has undertaken several steps to ensure the well-being of children who have been restored to their own families or foster care. Children are being contacted over phone by the district child protection unit, staff and counselors, and wherever necessary, tele-counseling is being provided. Foster parents are being contacted over the WhatsApp group to ensure psychosocial well-being of children. Facilities for online classes are ensured for all children. COVID-19 risk management awareness has been provided to children and the related families. Besides deinstitutionalization, the government lays emphasis on other steps like adoption, repatriation, specific schemes like Vijnana Deepti, Sanat Balyam for the restoration of children on a permanent basis. A special mention about Sanat Balyam or the foster care program launched by the Social Justice Department in April 2007. The scheme aims at providing foster care placement for orphaned or abandoned children. The program's vision is ensuring a healthy and joyful life, family life to every orphan, destitute, and abandoned child. The program has facilitated the adoption of children from the recognized orphanages in the state, and a number of such children have been adopted by eligible families since the start of the program. As of now, 324 children are being under this foster care, besides kingship foster care and vacation foster care. Under the kingship foster care program, 161 children have been included, and an amount of rupees 84 lakhs have been sanctioned by the government for all the 14 districts in the state. The group foster care program, that is where family-like care facility are provided for children in need of care and protection who are without parental care, includes 72 children, and an amount of 17 lakhs 28,000 rupees have been sanctioned. Under the vacation foster care, children living in CCIs are placed by the committee for spending their vacation with families selected by the DCPO after enquiry. The children sent to foster care families can imbibe several things from a real family life than from an institutionalized life, which is very important. Though the needs of both the child, the program is for 2 months, the authorities can extend the time depending upon the need of the child and the parent. The district child protection authorities will visit each family once in 2 weeks and submit a report. An overview of Vijnana Deepti. Vijnana Deepti is a state initiated sponsorship scheme whereby 2,000 rupees each is disbursed to each child to retain him or her in his or her home. About repatriation, as part of the restoration program, 120 children have been repatriated to their home states in the last year. An overview of adoption. Children below 6 years in CCIs were tracked and a plan was developed for every case, that is to say adoption and foster care. State Adoption Resource Authority should be given more power for effective interventions in the matters related to adoption. Adoption rules have to be modified to give preference to adopt from home state of the PAPS. There shall be more deliberations on how to rehabilitate those children having relatives other than parents, but have to stay in the CCIs for long term. The inter-country adoptions for the year 2019-20 have been 111 and inter-country have been 6. Good practices followed. Online contests were planned by the department. A lot of creative activities have been initiated by all the children homes across the state to ward off stress and anxiety in children. New WhatsApp and SMS helpline number was started to report cases related to safety of children during lockdown period. Online counseling and training was held for all the counselors in DCPUs and in the government CCIs in the state, online safety and child sex abuse, COVID-19 prevention, dealing with stress and anxiety. Tele-counseling services was made available to children in CCIs and to those sent to families. A short film of 6 minutes duration has been prepared based on the activities done in all CCIs across the state to keep the children creatively engaged during the lockdown period. A WhatsApp group was created for foster care children and parents for the psychosocial well-being of children. COVID-19 risk management awareness has been provided to children and the related families. A contest has also been announced to reward the best performers. The activities are also video documented and a short film was prepared to showcase how the children are provided with psychosocial support. Parenting campaign and overview. In the context of suicide being reported among children and increasing addiction, WCD department planned and launched a parenting campaign targeting parents on positive and responsible parenting. The campaign uses mainly social media as the channel to communicate and direct communication through Anganwadi workers. A quiz competition has been conducted for children in CCIs in collaboration with Doordarshan Kendra. A debate has been conducted for selected children on the subject safety and security of children on both public and cyber spaces. How can government intervene better? In the context of suicide of children in lockdown period, a committee was formed by the government. 158 cases have been studied. Detailed report has been submitted to the Chief Minister of Kerala. DCPOs ensured online class facility in all CCIs. Wherever necessary, children were transferred from CCIs to ensure access. Now, the problems related to juvenile justice faced in the period. Despite earnest efforts for the successful implementation of the JJ Act in the state, we are facing certain impediments in the process. Some of them are difficulty in getting central assistance for NGO CCIs, inadequate funds for deinstitutionalization, inadequate staff strength in the State Child Protection Society and District Child Protection Units, etc. The existing central scheme needs to be revised and more funds have to be provided for implementing JJ Act 2015 effectively and efficiently. Youth living care and overview. Department has started an aftercare program for children who have to live in childcare institution on attaining 18 years of age by providing education, skill education, and placement. Progressive achievements made. We have made remarkable achievements like the Kaval program, a psychosocial intervention for children, Sharanye Balyam, a program initiated for curbing child beggary and child labor, Balanidhi, Juvenile Justice Fund, and our responsibility to children. As part of the Children's Day celebrations, on 14th November, the WCD department conducted a program in which selected children, including those from the CCIs, interacted with the judges of the High Court Juvenile Justice Committee through video conferencing. The program was telecast live through the YouTube channel of the WCD department. We have also now made a data management and monitoring system and overview of the same also. The High Court Juvenile Justice Committee had suggested that the state develop a data monitoring system on the lines of the MIS portal developed by the Honorable Supreme Court, containing all information regarding the implementation of the juvenile justice in the state of Kerala, including infrastructure statistics, so that the various stakeholders, including the High Court Juvenile Justice Committee, have an access to the data, which would therefore ensure more effective in monitoring the system. Accordingly, a data management and monitoring system has been developed by the Women and Child Department, Government of Kerala, with the support of UNICEF and assistance of state IT agency CD. In order that the tracking of the children be made complete, JJBs and CWCs are made part of the software. The software is being hosted in the State Data Center of the Government of Kerala. The basic family details can be captured at the CWC itself, but further details can be captured only if the child is sent to a CCA. Likewise, regarding the JJBs, status of the case and the details of the child in conflicting with law as to whether bail is granted to a child or the child is sent to an observation home can be captured. If the child is sent to the observation home, further details related to the child and further status of the case can be uploaded by the observation homes using the login. The CWC, JJB and DCPO can access details pertaining to the district regarding the children brought before the CWC, children sent to CCI through the dashboards. In addition to the WCD, High Court, SCPCR and police can also access details regarding the CCI's performance of CWC and JJBs across the state. A demonstration of the software was held at the High Court on 28/10/2020. A formal launch of the software will be soon made by the Women and Child Development Department. I thank myself and on behalf of Justice Arun, the Juvenile Justice Committee member, and the state representatives for the Supreme Court having rose to the occasion and has convened this meeting for a better future and fruitful activities from all concerned. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you. Next one in is the High Court of Orissa, and I would request Justice Bishwanath Rath to make his speech. I don't want to curtail you, sir, but let us not reiterate the presentation which you have already given. If it is convenient, it would be better if you could highlight your learnings, whatever has been gleaned from your experience as a part of the JJC in Orissa, and the highlights of whatever the JJC has been able to achieve, as well as the challenges faced by you. Because going through, I mean, if we follow the model of reading everything, I think we will run much short of time. So that is my request to you, Justice Rath. Now please, the floor is yours.
Sir, my Lord Honorable Justice Sri H. Ravindra Bhatt, Judge Supreme Court of India and Chairperson Juvenile Justice Committee, Honorable Chairperson and members of Juvenile Justice Committee of all High Courts attending this All India Conference through DC, esteemed Principal Secretary, Government of India, Principal Secretaries and Secretaries of WCT departments of all states, respected representatives from UNICEF and other dignitaries available through DC mode in attending this national conference. I feel privileged and honored to have been asked to make a presentation on behalf of the Juvenile Justice Committee, Odisha High Court. To start with, tell me and I forget, teach me and I may remember, involve me and I learn. Thus goes Benjamin Franklin's famous quote. So we all must get involved and involve others to learn.
let learn, give our struggling children wings to fly, because once they fly, the real goal is achieved. Today's topic is, we have been given particular topic, restoration of children in the need of care and protection. So therefore, sir, kindly excuse me, all my preparation in that line. I'll also, of course, add definitely adhering to my Lord Justice Bhatt's direction. So at the outset, it is vital to quote here that children are future pillar of the nation and the society owes responsibility to protect them in all aspects. They should be allowed and provided livelihood to grow up to become a decent citizen equipped with all human qualities. In general, the term restoration symbolizes the act of restoring something or someone to a reasonable state. Restoration of children, on the other hand, conveys hope and support, enabling children to break the cycle of homelessness by empowering them to become part of mainstream society. It was not until late 19th century that the world witnessed a paradigm shift towards nascent children rights protection movement, which countered the widely held view that children were mainly quasi-property and economic assets. Since the 1989 UN conventions, there has been striking changes in the global legal landscape through different covenants, conventions, agreements, and charters. So, fortunately, child protection has now become a universal concern and a permanent challenge which we must now take head on and do our bit. The main objective of child protection is to provide every child a family environment to grow. So institutionalization is treated as the last resort, and importance is given for promotion of all forms of non-institutional care like sponsorship, foster care, adoption, kinship care, etc. Which experience on restoration of children in need of care and protection speaks positive tale of hope and achievements. In last 3 years, the state has been taking multiple interventions to restore back children from institutional care to family-based care, that is kinship care, foster care, sponsorship, and original family with parental care. The interventions include deinstitution of children having parental support or extended family support or minimizing the entry of children to child care institutions CCI when they are produced before the Child Welfare Committee CWCs as a statewide move to ensure standard care and recognizing family as the best place of children. CCIs in Odisha now decreased from 415 in the year 2015 to 240 in the year 2020. Though awareness among parents on the purpose of keeping children in CCI is conducted, simultaneously with family strengthening and counseling supports, many children were restored back to their families. When a vulnerable child produced before CWC, the first preference is being given to restore the child in his and her family care, as a result of which there are 22,000 number of children deinstitutionalized and restored back to different family-based care in the last 3 years, which 72% children have been restored with parents, 22% with single parents, and 6% with their extended family kinship care. Now, it is apt to mention here that the restored children are being followed up by way of a robust mechanism at district level through District Child Protection Unit DCPU rather, and Child Welfare Committee CWC on the basis of Home Study Report HSR vis-a-vis the CSR. Family need assessment done to assess the condition of family in which the child needs to be restored and for his well-being. Counseling to parent or caregivers on importance of the family in child's life and other emerging aspects looking into the best interest of the child. Some children are provided with sponsorship support with periodic follow-up of child well-being status. The project officer, non-institutional care with social workers and outreach workers of DCPU visit the child and family to monitor the progress of the status of the child based on some specific indicators like education, health, protection, and the recreation status of the child. More importantly, the gatekeeping measures community level child protection committee are also strengthened for supervising the status of children in family to prevent family child separation and avoid reinstitutionalization. It is apparent from the data furnished by the state government that it is giving emphasis on non-institutional care by strengthening both rehabilitative and preventive approaches. I am informed that the state has started conducting orphan survey to identify children at risk in the families, and identified family children are being tracked and supported with rehabilitative support to prevent institutionalization and other violations of their rights. Accordingly, 6,798 number of Gram Panchayat level child protection committees and 314 number of block level child protection committees covering all the Gram Panchayats and blocks of the state have been constituted to track the progress of children based on education, health, safety, and security status. It is heartening to share the information received from the government that around 8,000 children are placed in kinship care, more than 3,000 children in sponsorship, and 26 children are in foster care. Here, may I spell out the challenges that, due to lack of staff support below the district level, a real problem surfaces to follow the child restored to the family and residential family-based care. Insufficient funds under non-institutional care are also a hindrance. Maybe, may it be suggested here that instead of admission in CCIs, children can also be admitted in educational hostels, and utmost care must be taken of the children, comparing residential care with family placement. Though the statistics of Odisha gives us a ray of hope, the inspiring restoration figures and the incident relapses in some restored cases are the matter of concern for all and must assess afresh with a children-friendly perspective. In these trying times, the presentation would be incomplete without acknowledging the untiring effort and unflinching support of the JJ committee in complying with the Honorable Apex Court's slew of directions in show motor read petition civil number 4 of 2020. Now I'll explain some of my experience as per direction of Honorable Justice Bhatt from Supreme Court of India. Sir, in my personal experience, I have been there in the committee for last 4 years, and in last 3 years, of course, this is pandemic situation. Therefore, my chairperson could not give me any permission to visit any center home or any of the houses housing these sort of children. But my experience up till last 3 years is I have visited at least as many as 10 such institutions. I have visited an institution in Barampur that is accommodating the blind girls and children. The institution is not only taking their food and shelter, but institution is also taking care of their education. So on my visit, I find surprises there. Roofs were leaking, walls were dilapidated, and the computers were not functioning. So I immediately convened a meeting at the instance of all the personnel involving the child care system, as well as the district committee head, the collector, the superintendent police, and the CDMO. Even the people, healthcare was also not being properly taken care. The nets provided to them should be provided to them were not there, and it was having lot of mosquitoes even inside the living rooms. Kitchens were not clean. So I convened meeting. I had instructed the collector and all concerned, including the CTPO, CDMO, to at least take care, and I have been ensured there itself to take care of, to at least come up with all care within 1 month, and maybe within a fortnight or 45 days. They have taken all cares. I have now been briefed that all these care have been taken, computers have started functioning, education is in proper flow. Therefore, visiting is also a necessary. I have also experienced in visiting one of the institution in Kalahandi. It's a very remote district of the state in tribal area. Mostly tribal people are there. Tribal students are there accommodated. What happened in those localities, the on the marriage of either the wife, remarriage of the either the wife or the husband, they leave the children on care. They don't carry with their children already with them, and at this stage, the children became orphan. At this stage, the children become orphan. No parent there to take care. They go with the newly married wife, leaving the children in street. So these sort of children are accommodated in this house. And there I visited. Of course, utmost care is taken. Still, there were some lapses. There also, I held a meeting with the high officer. And in the visiting also, I insisted the officers and the masters taking care to at least send a message to the society to have some birthday functionings or death day functionings of great persons in the institution, at least to involve them in some functionings. And as a result, your lordship will imagine maybe 25 functions had taken place in that institution in the next year. People came with fruit, cake, biscuits, and certain so many gifts. Even the collector himself visited the area on the birthday of his own children to share the birthday of his children with these boys. So therefore, visiting is a must. I have a lot of experience. I have visited at least 10 institutions, and I have a lot of experience. I don't want to waste time. I may put it somewhere in writing so that it may be helpful to other states also. So therefore, my request will be, apart from having closed loop through these systems available, if possible, at the district level, some visiting must be there. And visiting, I have marked, visiting has definitely given a lot of improvements. I visited one experience I should not forget. I visited one orphan institution. There I saw that the boys were there. Of course, 4 of the students were not available at the time of my visit. I made a surprise visit. What I do sometime, I visit my district, administrative district. On the way, I divert myself to visit such institutions unnoticed. So I visit. So therefore, surprise visit, I find 4 students are not there. And the institution reported that these people have run away in the last night. And some students also reported there were beatings. So being afraid of other beating, they have run away. So I have advised the institution people not to beat, at least to try some other methods if possible to convince these boys if they are notorious or if they are creating any sort of disturbance. Therefore, to sum and substance, to conclude, I would say, from my experience, it is visiting is essential, absolutely, Master.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Sir,
Justice Rath. Thank you very much. And with that personal note about your visits, which I think is essential, and most of us would be doing, at least I, in my capacity as chair of the JJC in Delhi, did undertake periodic visits, but it is important that all of us do that in whichever way possible, even during these challenging times, because that is the only manner in which some monitoring and oversight is possible. So with that note, thank you, sir. Now I will request Ms. Swati Meena Nayak, Director of Women and Child Development, Government of Madhya Pradesh, to make her presentation, with the only request again that please, madam, let us go through the highlights, whatever your learnings have been, specially during these times and in COVID, because you, I notice, have a fairly long 12-page presentation, 12 slide, maybe 24 slides. Yes, thank you. Please go ahead.
Sir would follow your advice word by word and would make it very, very brief and bring forth before the committee the executive points which we have done so far. At the very outset, sir, I would want to extend my greetings on behalf of our Principal Secretary, who is present along with me, and regards to the Honorable Chairperson and the Honorable members of the Supreme Court Juvenile Justice Committee and the August gathering on behalf of the Honorable High Court, JJC, the state government, and the UNICEF state representatives. So the first slide, we are just presenting a brief sketch of the socio-economic indicators just to bring forth the point before the committee that the state has been doing a vulnerability assessment of all the areas, and based on that, a state action plan has been evolved. Please request to share the screen, please. So this is a brief sketch board where we just wanted to put forth the indicators where we find that the state is not performing so well. We can see an increase in the child, the worrying trend of decrease in child sex ratio from 2001 to 2011. We have done a vulnerability assessment in all the districts, and a specific hotspot related district action plans have been formulated. So, my Lordship, we present forth the trends of the NCRB data in various categories related to child crime. The state action plan, sir, has been formulated based on the principles of collaboration with the community, coordination with all the departmental stakeholders, and also taking all the positive measures where we can create an enabling and safe environment for the children in the state. So this is a brief glance where we wanted to put forth the number of CCIs and the inmates. As you could see, sir, there is a reduction in number of inmates from April 1st to 28th November. Out of this number, 2091 were the CNCP children who have been restored. Around 491 children have been restored, sir, which will be elucidated further in the next slide, sir. Before, sir, we would want to present our action taken report on the orders which we received from the Supreme Court in that petition 05222020. CWC had been trained to conduct online sessions on 6th of April, and they have been continuous peer sharing among them to share their challenges they are facing while conducting this online session. So they have done around 189 follow-ups, which included physical visits and video calls and telephonic conversation. They have also been monitoring the CCIs and its COVID management protocol. The pandemics have brought forth a new opportunity for us to monitor the quality of counseling which the child welfare committees offer. We can actually see the recorded counseling session and have formulated a module for further enhancing their skills in engaging in conversation with the children and making the case studies. The Supreme Court directive focused on and categorically mentioned about the capacity building in mental health counseling. We had we found it as an opportunity to revamp the entire system of mental health counseling. We have around 106 mental health counselors in our CCIs, in DCPUs and Childline. Around 69 were intensively given training in mental health counseling. They conducted around 4,000 sessions, one-to-one session with children, and around 14,000 sessions were conducted in group where they had used several practices of creative arts to map their behavior, which can be further made part of the individual care plan and the child study report. Also, the foster care family members were given 591 sessions one-on-one where we could track the development and well-being of the child. Most of the cases we did find a child was not continuing his education due to infrastructural problems of attending online classes. But district collectors have made all the corrective measures and ensured through other departmental welfare schemes we can rope in and reintegrate the child back into the education system. A state-level help desk has also been established, sir, to address the severe cases of mental health issues where coordination from health department and social welfare department was required. We have primarily focusing on the individual care plan, which has formed the basis for monitoring the development of child, whether the child is back in community, restored back in the community, or is staying in CCIs. Behavior mapping exercise have been technically developed, and several tools have been developed to ensure that the child do not fall back into negative thinking pattern. That the mapping has been done and progressively being monitored. The staff of CCIs, which previously found itself not so qualified to actually engage the children in big numbers for 24 hours, had been equipped and oriented, and additional outlays were made for in this regard. So I would want to bring forth this initiative of the Principal Secretary DWCD, who himself had been interacting with the children in CCIs and had been personally training the staff and the district child protection officers in technically preparing the individual care plan, which includes consultation with the children, and their ambitions should be included at the path of their development has to be charted out. We are also developing, we are in a process, it is almost on completion, sir. There are MIS where each individual care plan can be monitored. Alternative care families is also being contacted, and around a few of them are in the process. We are in the process of establishing the infrastructure at CCI level to have smart TVs. So during COVID management, I'm very happy to present forth that none of an inmate in the CCI had been affected so far. We have followed all the protocol. The regular health checkups have been done on all the children by the designated doctor from the health department. So additional financial resources were made available, and in containment areas, initially we found little difficulties, but we could overcome it by proactively contacting the district administration. So we had divisional quarantine centers at 10 divisional centers, and all CCIs maintained a reserve room if a new entrant was coming. Only 15 children were detected to be COVID positive, as they were new entrants, and during admission they were quarantined or they were provided the required medical facility. So the state had a huge inflow of migrant laborers and their families. At the camp, the DWCD officials, along with PWC and DCPU, screened out the pregnant and lactating women, which were to the tune of around 38,000 per month. We were screening them, and around 1 lakh children in the age group 0 to 6 were covered under ICDS. Around 110 children were found to in need of care and protection, who were covered in ICPS scheme. So we have created a enabling environment to further strengthen the restoration process in the state. State-specific sponsorship and foster care guidelines during this COVID time has been revamped to simplify the process. We have also bring forth the concept of private sponsorship to promote individuals and organizations to come forth and sponsor education of the child in need and care. Group foster care has been further simplified, and it is exclusively now based on home study reports and police verification. The registration process has been done away with. The emergency foster care, with the provision of fit person definition under JJ Act, has been added as a distinctive feature in our guideline, which helps us to give a family environment to especially children who are below 6 years, for whom we can actually restore them into a family environment for a while or for a short while if required. The guideline periods have been reduced. Foster care guideline period, the minimum period for adoption eligibility has been reduced from 5 to 3 years. State has planned to provide data of children who are eligible for foster care in public domains, so people can be more motivated, along with the child study report and behavior mapping, just to ensure that there are less number disruption, dissolution. Also, it becomes as a social norm for people to come forth for foster care and sponsorship. So I'm very happy to submit to you that MP is the second state who's coming up with the exhaustive state child protection policy after Karnataka, where state makes a strong commitment and it prioritizes its vision for ensuring an enabling environment for all children in all setup in the state. So this is a data analysis we wanted to bring forth that in 491 children who have been restored, we had 300 males and 191 females. We have 300 females and 190 males. So females restoration was more, and the further classification of this 491 was most of the children were restored back to the biological parents. So as you had expressed in your opening note about your concern about children going back to the vulnerable or a dysfunctional family, so these 386 children have been focused. Follow-up, weekly follow-up has been done, and we are keeping a constant watch on these families till the time there is a smooth settlement of child in the family. So we have around the major portion on the age group, you would see that 324 children falling into the age group of 12 to 18 have been restored. Also, it ensures that they can actually go back to their families and get on to the higher education and start a gainful employment. This is the duration of stay. We tried the following the principle of restoration and rehabilitation as per the JJ Act, where 63% of children were stayed less than 6 months in CCIs. This shows the DCPOs and CWPs have really taken proactive action. So few of our districts like Mandsaur, Hoshangabad, Gwalior, Jabalpur have done a remarkable job where collectors personally involved themselves in ensuring restoration of the children. Foster care and sponsorship in the COVID times, as you would see, formed a good chunk of the cumulative lot. Around 168 foster care was done during the COVID period, and 23 sponsorship was in the COVID time. So we are, with the relaxed norms, we are having many application of private sponsorship to ensure the children in need of, who are in families in economic distress, can be supported for children education. This is a trend we had analyzed to see that in the month of April, May, where there was lockdown, the restoration process was going down, but there was a big jump in May onwards, where it peaked to 151. We had in October 2020, where we had 151 new entrants coming in. So we are trying to look into the social investigation report of these children, how they have been orphaned and abandoned in these times. Most of them, we are finding, sir, that families in economic distress or being orphaned when their parents have passed away after being affected by COVID. So the restoration process is also, it peaked in around July, and we are again hoping that we will cross the summer, because our social investigation and home study got affected during this lockdown time. So we have done the follow-up of 364 children, and the documentation of this follow-up has been done. And the recent ones, the process is ongoing. The collectors and DCPOs have tried to converge all governmental schemes to ensure that the individual care plan is adhered to. If in case in some families we found that children health or education was not looked after, we had given them support from the government sector. So this is an initiative from Madhya Pradesh. It's called Launchpad Scheme, where the aftercare facilities to children moving out of CCIs has been ensured. In this COVID time and economic distress, we are ensuring that children who are moving out are mainstreamed and integrated into the economic and social system in a proper fashion, so that they can live on with their life. We are organizing vocational courses for them, and also ensuring that they can be gainfully employed. This is a good story. We are publishing routinely very good stories to motivate the society to come forth and make foster care and sponsorship a norm. As my lordship has pointed out the challenges during the restoration process, which all the states had faced, one I would want to stress upon was the last one, which was the disruption and dissolution by PAPS during this thing. Mostly disruption happened because they were not able to communicate on a regular basis with the child, could not get the confidence. Second, on the transport and the logistics. And third point, which few cases we saw, sir, they found themselves not economically capable enough now to go forth with the adoption process. This is the way forward we are deliberating upon to strengthen the families and the process. We have formed an advisory group to strengthen the alternative care. There is a technical partners with us We have allotted them the areas in Madhya Pradesh where they can work with society, collaborate, and form and strengthen the alternative care processes. Kushal Naunihal was an initiative done by Bhopal Division where they linked street children to education, back to families. We are trying to expand this further as we are seeing more of the kids as schools closure of the schools have led to increase of children coming on the streets. Developing a pool of master trainers and mentors to upscale the strengthening. There is a single window system designed at the district level so that we can ensure that the children moving out of CCI or being restored back in the families can be provided the benefits and all the governmental welfare schemes. We initiated a pilot of mapping all the vulnerable children and families so that a district specific and area specific plan can be developed. Hotspots of child vulnerabilities have been identified, and along with police, health, and education, we are working to mitigate those factors and create an enabling environment for the children. Child protection MIS, as I mentioned, so it's underway. We are mainstreaming. COVID pandemic actually forced us to upscale our capacity in counseling, and we are getting very good results and very good case studies out of it. uh, we are designing a effective dialogue and orientation session with the PABs before they go in for adoption of foster care, and would want to orient and train them and develop right notions before having a child in their house. We are building our IEC around the celebrity brand ambassadors who are coming into foster care. As one of the example I showed to you, sir, many people who are socially well placed and respected and looked upon are being made as mascots for this, for building this as a societal norm. Uh, we are making our foster care and sponsorship an online process, and also started sharing good success case stories. We have a child who had won gold medal at national level in horse riding. They are wonderful kids who have performed extremely well in their board examination. They have scored above 90%. These good stories are being floated in the society so that society can learn that the children are not abandoned. They are very well part of the society, and they are one of among us. Thank you so much, sir, for giving us the opportunity.
Thank you, Ms. Mishra. And now we go over to the Jharkhand High Court. I would request Dr. Justice S.N. Pathak, Chairperson of the Juvenile Justice Committee, to make his observations and presentation.
Obliged minutes. Good morning to all. Honorable Justice Ravindra Bhatt, Judge Supreme Court, sister and brother judges representing different high courts, and other dignitaries, including the secretary, principal secretaries and director RCT. I'm really obliged and overwhelmed to address this august gathering through virtual mode. Millards, Jharkhand has taken a stupendous task for restoration of children in need and care in the present scenario of COVID-19 and have achieved a lot. Now, directly I'll come to the slides. Restoration of children in need of care and protection. What initiatives have been taken by the state of Jharkhand? From 1st March 15th November to 15th November 2020, 2,166 children restored to families, of which 1083 children were residing in CCIs. 90% of children are residing with the families, 8% are residing in kinship. Now, status of sponsorship and foster care, a total of 972 children identified to be linked with sponsorship program in the year 2020-21, 455 children linked with sponsorship in which boys were 213, 47%, and girls 246, almost 53%. A total of 27 children identified to be linked with foster care program, 20 children linked with foster care, out of which boys were 6, 30%, and girls 14, that is 70%. Now there is a comparative chart of the details of foster care and sponsorship that we find in 2018-19 and then 1920 and 2021. Now just we'll go look into the analysis of status of children restored. Restored children are staying with their families. They are supporting their families in household chores. Single parent widows do have some issues in taking care of children. Now, what are the challenges we faced in restoration? Unavailability of block positions in CPS, insistence of parents to keep their children in CCIs for their education. It is particularly the case in CCIs that are self-funded. Restoration of children with special needs, chronic diseases, missing children gets difficult. Restoration of children affected by addiction, runaway children, survivors of trafficking, children in conflict with law, and those from family with single parent or with more number of children. The other challenges which we are facing, unwillingness of children eloped for marriages to return to their family, at times below par knowledge of the CCI functionaries, procedural delays in sponsorship and foster care leakage. Now, what initiatives we have taken to promote restoration and disinstitutionalization? Capacity development program on expedite case management, family-based care and restoration for functionaries of DCPUs and CCIs across the state, capacity development and mobilization of PLVs placed at block level to support preventive child protection services and promote family-based care, mapping of children in CCIs to facilitate their restoration and deinstitutionalization, psychosocial support extended to 576 children residing in CPS supported CCIs, counselors and DCPUs, CCIs and childline service providers in CCIs, DCPU functionaries, CWJs and JJBAs were oriented on PSS and on child protection concerns. Orientation of child protection functionaries 235 on the directive of Honorable Supreme Court as given in the order passed, that is on 3rd of April 2020. Trafficked children 44 which were airlifted from Delhi during pandemic and restored. This was on the direction of the state government and we are obliged to the state government for the help rendered. ISC material on promoting family-based care has been developed. SOP for health checkup of the children residing in the CCIs for COVID-19 and their follow-ups has been developed. An online platform to be in continuous touch with all the CCIs to address the issues of children and staff members. Specific directions about care and protection of street children have been issued and being followed up. Further increased focus on restoration and deinstitutionalization, target-oriented approach for linkages with sponsorship and foster care, along with family strengthening, creating convergence amongst different functionaries at district level for enhancing the performance of linkages, engaging PLVs at block level for support in family restoration and family strengthening, communication campaign on importance of family-based care. We have also undertaken capacity building of DSPUs, CCI functionaries, CWJs, JJBAs, and child online, gatekeeping, restoration, and deinstitutionalization. Restorative circle process to be initiated in CCIs to promote healing and restoration, rollout of aftercare program, and Milats, we have also undertaken to visit the care homes. Almost we have 13 care homes in Jharkhand, out of which in this pandemic we visited Bokaro, Ranchi, and Khunti. I, along with the principal district judge and the other officers, visited the care homes, the collectors of the district, and also the superintendent of police. They also accompanied me. We interacted with the children's. Now, one experience what I had when I visited Ranchi, Milats, what I find that in the evening, they were left at the mercy of the God. Nobody was there to take care. Therefore, immediately I called for the chief secretary. I advised him for security of the care homes, particularly in the evenings. And I'm glad to inform Milats that proper care has been taken, and now there is proper security in all the care homes in the evenings. Steps have also been taken regarding children interacting, and they're taking interest in games and other activities. And periodic visits have also been encouraged. Now we have adopted one calendar, and we think in the next year, every month, we will be visiting particularly one care home, and we will look into that. Some steps are taken for their betterment. And in Khunti, we also took steps for children, that adoption of children, and that was also wonderful. And we assure your lordship that further we will be doing. Much has to be done. And now let me thank Sister Anubha Rawat has also accompanied me, Milats. She is a member of the committee, and Principal Secretary Mr. Avinash and Mr. Saxena, Director RCD, has also accompanied. Thanks a lot. Thanks to all.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Justice Jha. Now, last in this session is Justice Ashwini Kumar Singh, Judge and Chairperson, Juvenile Justice Monitoring Committee, Patna High Court. Justice Singh? Yes. Well, again, one request I'll reiterate, Justice Singh. We are already running behind schedule by 15 minutes. So I would request you not to read everything, but what you think are the highlights, please go over that. I don't want to curtail your time because your views are valuable. You come from a very important state.
Thank you, sir. Honorable S. Ravindra Bhatt, Chairperson and Judge, Chairperson JJ Committee, Supreme Court of India, my brother and sister judges, Sri R.M. Misra, Secretary, Ministry of Women and Child Development, representatives of the state government, and representatives of UNICEF. A very good morning to everybody. I feel honored to be present before this august gathering and make presentation on behalf of the Patna High Court. I'll try to be brief, and I'll try to not cross the time allotted to us. This year, number of children restored to their families has exceeded number of children admitted in children's homes. There are 23 children's homes for boys and 11 children's homes for girls in Bihar. From January to September 2020, a total of 1,645 children got admission in these 34 homes, and within this period, 1,724 children were reunited with their families. The good thing is that some of the children who got restored to their families were the ones whose families were hard to be traced, and they had been staying in the homes for quite long period. The graphs show between 75% and 60% drop in number of children admitted in the homes after March, when complete lockdown was announced on 25th March. From January to March 2020, a total of 993 children were admitted in the children's homes, which got reduced to merely 246 during April-June quarter and 406 in July's quarter. A similar trend of decline was observed in the restoration figures for these periods. The sharp drop in overall rate of admission and restoration of children was because of strict restrictions on train and bus movements because of COVID-19 lockdown from 25th March to 16th August in Bihar. Data on restoration of children from homes can be seen through the data that tells us for how long children have been staying in homes. From the given slide on the left, it emerges that a majority of the children, both boys and girls, have been staying for a period exceeding 4 months. Out of the total 540 boys residing in 23 children homes, a total of 429 children have been residing in these homes. A total of 429 children have been released. Similar trend is observed in case of girls as well. A majority of 83% of the girls in October had been awaiting restoration for more than 4 months, whereas those staying for over a year in 13 child home girls comprise of 44% of the total children. Most of the children staying for longer period are those whose disabilities, especially mental disabilities, those whose addresses could not be traced, and those admitted in homes by the order of the court in romantic cases. The lockdown from 25th March to 16th August this year was also the major reason for children to stay for a very long duration. We have compared the data on restoration from both 2019 and 2020 to see the difference in the number of children admitted in children's homes and restored from there. We observe a sharp drop in number of children admitted and restored in 2020 compared to 2019. During the quarter April-June of 2019, 1,658 children were brought to the safety of children's homes in Bihar. This figure just 246 in April-June in 2020. A drop of 85% can be attributed to the effect of total lockdown. Vulnerable children could not be outreached and neither the children could seek help. The complete lockdown put DCPUs and childlines outreach and rescue activities under severe strain as its functionaries could not move in the field for emergency outreach. With restricted movements, the number of children who might have otherwise gone missing or run away from their families also got reduced. However, it also meant that children who were in abusive or violent situation continued to remain so in that situation for lack of outreach and support services during lockdown. The court passed a series of, the Honorable Supreme Court passed a series of orders and directions in suo motu writ petition in recontagion of COVID-19 virus in children protection homes on 3rd April and 7th April, as also on 15th July and 14th July in 2020. The graph on the left shows the impact that the orders had. Number of children discharged on bail by JJBs closely matched the number of children admitted in the 14 observation homes across the state, and the red line referring to discharge even surpassing the green line representing new children in March and April this year. While this established bail to be granted to the child in conflict with law as norm, there were limitations as to the visit by probation officers for preparing SIRs. The JJBs did not hold usual sittings during lockdown This also limited the process of inquiry and therefore disposal or discharge. However, there was a dip in commission of offences by children during this period and consequently apprehensions, as can be observed in the sharp fall and very slow rise of green line representing newer children getting admitted at the observation homes. If we look at pie chart, out of total 632 children staying in observation homes on 31st October 2020, a majority of children, 71% approx, got discharged in less than 4 months. However, 11% of these children had been staying in the observation homes for over a year. This is really a matter of concern. The challenges and reasons for delay are the following. First, frequent change of CWPO affects the quality of SBR and final form as well as delay in submission of these documents before board. Second, absence of quality psychologists or psychosocial workers to support JJBs in preliminary assessment into heinous offences cases also delay the inquiry. Now, coming to well-being of children restored, including those in foster care, kinship care status, I would like to say that the sponsorship program is being held. About 2,489 children are being supported through this sponsorship program. Under this program, the family of the child gets a monthly assistance of ₹2,000 to support his education, medical treatment, or vocational training in needs. Now, the second scheme, which is also very important, which is initiative of the state of Bihar, is Parvaris, that is kinship care. This is a scheme of the government of Bihar under which a total of 16,930 children have been benefited so far. The beneficiaries comprise 36.3% of orphan and vulnerable children, 57.1% HIV or AIDS affected children, and 6.6% leprosy affected children. Currently, 12,481 children are on roll under this scheme. The state government has also enhanced aftercare assistance from ₹2,000 to 4,000 per child. This fund is given to children who complete 18 years of age while they were in child care institutions and now need assistance. The additional amount of ₹2,000 is given through the Juvenile Justice Fund established under the JJ Act. A batch of 15 girls are undergoing a diploma in hotel management course at Bengaluru. They would get 100% job placement. Children, both in child care institutions and in community, face a lot of mental and psychological distress, as has been discussed earlier in this conference during COVID-19 pandemic lockdown. A psychological support program was launched by the Social Welfare Department with UNICEF to support, in fact, with support of a team trained and experienced psychologists, psychiatrists, and counselors. More than 1,500 children have been supported so far under this scheme. This program is still continuing. So, we are informed that the state government has enhanced per child budget cost for child care institutions. An additional fund of ₹7 lakh per child care institution was sanctioned and allotted for purchasing equipment for the benefit of children. A web-enabled child protection management information system, including child labor tracking system, has been very useful in monitoring the rehabilitation of children. Regular monitoring of child care institution by District Inspection Committee, DCPU, CWC, JJB have happened even during COVID-19 using home management information system. Online classes have also been organized for children residing in child care institutions. So far as the challenges and limitations being faced by different stakeholders in implementing the Juvenile Justice Act and Child Protection Services are concerned, the JJBs and CWCs could not hold their usual sittings during the period of lockdown. This resulted in delay in inquiry. The lockdown restricted the movement of child protection functionaries in the field. It also resulted in delay in SIR and ICP. The rescue and outreach activities got limited because of restrictions on vehicular movement. There was a dilemma whether children belonging to extremely poor families should be released or restored during lockdown. COVID-19 management inside the CCIs was also a challenge, as there was always a fear of exposure to COVID-19 infection from a new child to others already staying in homes. In early days of lockdown, there were difficulties in testing. The child care institutions ran on a reduced staff strength, thus putting the staff under strain. COVID-19 could be managed successfully, however, in child care institutions in Bihar with provision of institutional quarantine facilities, psychosocial support, and prompt restoration or discharge from child care institutions. Now, as far as the way forward is concerned, I would like to say that eligible from child care institutions should be linked with institutions under the skill development mission of the state government. There should be a formation of a state task force on restoration and rehabilitation, ensuring that depending upon the nature of the case, each child or his family is linked to at least 2 social protection schemes. This apart, I would also like to apprise the House about the steps taken by the JJ committee during the pandemic. We were monitoring the health of each inmate in child care institution through a daily health card received from each child care institutions on daily basis. There was an outbreak of COVID-19 in observation homes at Darbhanga and Samastipur. Extensive steps were taken by the Secretariat to ensure prevention of spread and providing medical care to all the inmates. Except 2-3 inmates, the rest inmates were restored to their families following the COVID guidelines. The JJBs were introduced to monitor the health of each and every child in child care institutions. Now, the Secretariat also ran online awareness program. Another important aspect which was done by the committee was a webinar was convened. It was a state level webinar on the issue of deinstitutionalization and bail to juveniles in conflict with law and serving best interest of child. The topics also contained maintaining child-friendly atmosphere and issues related to preliminary assessment. This webinar was chaired by our Honorable Chief Justice Sri Sanjay Karol and all the judges of Patna High Court and all the stakeholders from district level and state level participated in the program, and I'm sure that they all were benefited out of the webinar. So these are the steps our committee and Secretariat has taken. With these words, I thank everybody for providing me an opportunity to speak to you. Thanks, please.
Thank you, Justice Singh. Now we have a very brief window. Although we are 15 minutes short, we are running 15 minutes late. I would throw open the floor for a brief discussion on the presentations of this session, that is restoration of children in need of care and protection. We have heard these 5 high courts, and I would now request anyone who would wish to speak or make his own observations to do so. Yes, please.
Sir, may I speak with the permission of the Honorable Chair?
Yes, Justice Rath. Yes. क्या हो गया?
We have for the COVID situation here in state, in our state institutions, and there are some sufferings. Medical supporting was also given to those children, and all have recovered.
Very well.
So that's
Justice Rath, this is more an opportunity for the other participating, JJCs to make their own observations and views in view of the learnings that they have made with respect to these common topics. As you have noticed, not all the high courts have been able to, make their
absolutely
views.
my chairperson CWC.
Sir, may I make a point?
Yes.
This is Amanullah from Patna High Court.
Yes, yes.
The Madhya Pradesh presentation, it talks about 69% trained by NIMHANS and UNICEF, who
Yes.
have act as psychosocial. Now that is a very important issue, sir. Everywhere we are facing these trained persons who are not there. So that can be shared, because UNICEF is in every state. If they can further implement it, because that is one of the major short points, because we don't have people to deal with all those stress and everything.
All right.
That
I think that's a useful suggestion. We'll note that. Anything else? Anyone else?
Sir, may I make a point, sir? I'm Secretary WCD Maharashtra, sir. It's a
Yes,
school.
yes, Ms. Kaushik.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, I just thought, I'll just give 2 points, sir, that with regard to
Can we request all the other participants to mute? Let the speaker go ahead, then you can, whoever wishes to can join. Yes.
Yes, sir. Sir, my limited point was that, sir, that if you want to give quality care to children, CNCP children who are referred to our institute, sir, 2 very important learning point is that we should have quality induction into our CCIs. That is the children who truly deserve to be inducted into our CCI. So this gatekeeping has to be done very stringently, sir. Now, in this corona period, we have seen that number of children had to be sent back to their parents. Some were genuine cases and some were using our institute for other purposes. Now, for that purpose, I feel, sir, that a very stringent guidelines has to be brought out by the CWC, and only those cases which fit into the the JJ Act, and truly they are cases of CNCP children. These children, if they are sent to our institution, sir, number 1, it will lead to decongestion of our institution. Number 2, we will be able to give them specialized and quality care, sir.
All
Number
right.
2,
I think we
another
follow that.
issue, sir.
I think we follow that. The only thing is the balancing of it is sometimes very essential at individual levels. If you make it too stringent, perhaps some vulnerable people and those who really are in neglect, but it's not so apparent, might be kept out. But I think the point you are making is important, that we should have stringent guidelines, some kind of
So
fairly.
if I just make one more point, sir, just
Yes.
I'll take a second, sir. So the interchange of children from one state to another and from state to another country, so that needs to be better coordinated, because many children are remaining languishing in our institute, sir, because of lack of coordination. So that needs to be strengthened. This is what I feel, because it gives more space to other children who
You're right.
probably would get
You're
the
right.
ratings.
That is for the individual. The states can have to develop it. Creating a template generally would not be a bad idea, but sometimes the individual approaches can be innovative on this, because one's experience in, at least in Delhi, has been that we have children who come from different states and at different age groups. Not all of them are able to communicate where they are from. Not all of them. So there are challenges, and then sometimes innovations come through your own your own staff in your departments, in the police force, and sometimes NGOs who are able to get through to them and do it. But yes, you're right. The protocols, some broad protocols are essential. Yes,
Yes,
thank
sir,
you.
coordination desk. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Sir, can I make a brief point?
Yes, yes.
Sir, you had in your
opening remarks, you had flagged this issue of children who go out of this care system. And I think that's a very, very serious concern because here everything is insured. And then when they graduate to open society and then the common public space, their livelihood and the skills of that livelihood. So I would, through your good office in this forum, I would like to urge upon all the states, particularly who are present here, a very detailed mapping of the need of such children who transition from care system to open space is an absolute must, and this has to be done at individual child-centric level. Each one should be given a kind of ID, and we have to, because once they're out, then they're out and open, and then it becomes very, very difficult for many of them to survive in that open space. And there are resources through livelihood programs, through skilling programs, through MSME ministry has some PMEGP program. There are several things. So I'd also put some.
I think that is where your role and your weight comes in, because whatever innovation has no limits. If you think of an issue, if you think of one, there are 10 other issues which might crop up. So you might have to think on this. Yes. Yes.
Yes. Sir, I am Justice Arya from Madhya Pradesh.
Yes, Justice Arya.
So there is a constant problem of coordination and regulation among different stakeholders, almost in all states. I have a suggestion, and I seek some advice from the Government of India and Ministry of Women and Child Welfare. Is it possible that in each state, some comprehensive directives may be issued in the matter of having a big infrastructure in each districts or in group of districts where we can have JJBs, where we can have CWCs, where we can observation homes, remand homes, and also the Legal Aid Service Authority. So that at one place where we can have all these institutions which can be monitored and integrated in a more effective manner. Coupled with this, if we have old age homes of women and men both there can be sharing of feelings between the old people and the young people, vis-a-vis men versus boys and the women versus the girls. They can share their experiences and they can also share their emotions. So this under one canopy, if we have all these institutions, there will be a better coordination.
Justice Arya, I think you have raised a very important point and a good idea. But the point is, sky is the limit. You've thought of this, you organize this. You organize this and come back and share with us. I'm sure we will all be greatly benefited. But the whole idea of creating, going back to the drawing board, the whole idea of creating a JJC in each state where High Court judges involve themselves is to itself be a coordinating body. Now, if you are planning a larger one where you have periodic meetings of these, that is one point which is well taken. I think we all need to do that. That's for you to create a template and ask the state to do it. I'm sure with some kind of pilot, scheme like that, we can have the benefit of it and we start doing it at all India level. Number one. Number two, I would also support what Justice Rath said, that just monitoring at one level is not sufficient. Field visits and inspections and surprise visits are also very, very important, because in these visits, in these meetings, we just get to see what the figures are and what is presented to us. But what the actual reality is for the individual, people responsible. I think, yes, someone else wants to speak. Thank you.
So I just want to add to
Manoj Agarwal.
places.
Manoj Agarwal, Additional Chief Secretary, Government of Gujarat. Sir, by your permission, can I make a small point?
Yes,
Let me just complete my statement.
Yes, all right, Mr. Justice Arya, just 1 minute, please complete.
Yes, sir. Sir, at Gwalior, Jabalpur, Bhopal, Indore, we have the lands allocated, and the maps have also been sanctioned for the Gwalior to come up with this big infrastructure, having all these institutions together. So we are in the process, and very shortly we will be sending across the blueprint of our proposed construction, sir, to the JCCI Delhi.
Yes, someone from Gujarat.
Manoj Agarwal, Additional Chief Secretary, Government of Gujarat.
Yes.
Sir, a very small point at this juncture.
Sir, a lot of discussion has taken place regarding various alternative care schemes, including sponsorship, kinship care, foster care, aftercare. But because Secretary Government of India, Mishra Saab is also here in this meeting, so funding requires a bit of increasing, it seems. For the last increase was given in 2014, sir. And if we don't increase the fund, though here in Gujarat we try to get it from the government of Gujarat's finance
Yeah, I
department,
think
but
Mr. Agarwal, you are right because no, it's not only you, several other states, I note that Kerala, I think Jharkhand, and among the 5 states, at least 2 states have spoken about it, the need for, more central funding on these issues. And I think this is where just Mr. Mishra has to take note. I'm sure all of you have been circulated with these presentations. So
thank you.
I would request those, at least those in the central government, to take note of these points which would fall within their domain. Yes,
Yeah,
anyone
yes,
else?
I make note of this, and we are also in the process of
Yes.
restructuring our scheme. So I take note of this and
Yes.
then take due care of.
Yes, just last one speaker, possibly.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, I'm from Tripura, Justice Talapatra.
Yes,
Justice
Justice Chalapatra. I will
also.
come back to you at Indore. Yes, Justice
Yes.
Chalapatra.
Okay, our state is facing a unique problem that is not exactly to the restoration, but you can call it as a repatriation. Because en route to Bangladesh, the Nigerian children are coming and they're getting arrested or detained and they're being recycled to our special homes. Even some the children from Bangladesh comes and enters the state and they tried out and detained in the special homes. But their repatriations to their foreign land is a big issue. And it is very difficult to persuade even the central government to take steps because there is
I
a remotest.
I think that's a very crucial point, and probably this might be faced in many border states.
Yes, right.
I think Mr. Mishra, you might just take note of this, and I think bestow some kind of special attention to this, because children coming, straying across the border, of course, a lot of things have to be investigated at individual level. Yet at the same time, you can't really treat them at par with the others who might come through the border. Yes.
So Justice Thakur from Himachal, sir.
Yes, yes. Please.
Sir, Himachal is a very small state, and with the small size of the state, we've been able to cope up with all the problems with respect to appropriate foster care, in as much as we've been able to ensure the strengthening of the psychological firmaments of the children who are at the various childcare institutions by ensuring deployment of psychological counseling for children. We've also been able to ensure the academic excellence of the children who are receiving education in these childcare institutions.
Very well. If you could just send us some kind of a note or presentation about what you have been able to achieve during these COVID times, plus also whatever challenges you faced and overcame, it would be useful for, and we could circulate it to all the others.
So
Yeah,
we've
thank
been
you.
also ensuring biannual auditing of the funds so that there's no misutilization of the funds which are being pervaded to these various childcare institutions, whether they are run by the government or by the various non-government organizations. If the restoration of children to their homes, whatever capacity we've been able to work, we've been able to streamline that facet also by keeping us very strong oversight through the reports which we receive
Then
regularly.
I think we would love to have those, your learnings, especially during these times. Yes, thank you. Yes, someone last, the participant, I think, yes, Justice Sundaresh. Justice Sundaresh, 1 minute. Justice Sundaresh. Justice Srivastava.
I had the pleasure of listening to my colleagues and also. I would like to make 3 points here. So far as Tamil Nadu is concerned, we've got 1,143 CCIs. I think must be one of the largest in the entire country. The difficulty is only 10% out of those CCI are recognized sponsored by the government.
So the remaining 90% are NGOs. Now, due to this pandemic situation, they are struggling to meet the ends now because their sponsorship has come to a grinding halt. So when they want
Justice
to send the
Sundaresh,
children
as you
back,
might have noticed, at least two of the people, the High Court which made presentations, and also the additional Chief Secretary of Gujarat have voiced this very same concern. So I think again I would request, because your experience perhaps is going to be very useful. You have a large number of institutions which you have been supervising. So
yes,
therefore,
and
yeah.
as the secretary said, my lord, there's one thing. As he said, there's a distinct disparity now within the institution, and the fund is being provided. But once the child is sent back to the home, now the support stops. Now the parents they feel that it becomes a burden now. Now the question of sharing with the child after the child is sent. Now this is not only inadequate fundings, but disproportionate also. We need to understand that the object is to make sure the child goes back to the home and then get settled down there. Because we'll be fine. But while we are giving fund, with the institution without any restriction, when the child goes back to the home, it stops. And thirdly, as Madam said, this is the foster care. I think there's a huge potential to be tapped on this. We are concentrating on a very small group, starting with the judges, our staff, the government servants, schools, colleges, institutions. I think we should make it really broad-based to make sure that everybody should understand the social responsibility towards the contribution to
What you're talking of is a larger awareness program,
Yes,
so
yes.
that
As Madam said, we can make use of the VAPs like the senior actors or sports personalities to drive home the point that duty is enjoined upon each and every one of us to make sure that the child is being taken care of. At least
very well. May I again request you, like
Yes.
the judge from Himachal, the High Court of Himachal, to also
Yes.
give your own, note about your challenges and what your experiences have been. I'm sure we will be benefited. We'll circulate it to everyone. Yes, thank you. Now, anyone else?
Sir, this is Biju Prabhakar, Secretary from Kerala, sir. Women and Child Secretary from Kerala.
Yes.
May I raise a point, sir?
Yes.
Sir, one of the stumbling block for adoption in this country is that, sir, there may be a grandmother or a mother living, and they are not at all interested in taking care of the child. They may not even visit at all. But in the legal, since the child is not legally free, we are unable to give such children, even after a long time, for adoption or even foster care, because of the presence of foster care. Sometimes we'll do, but everybody prefer foster care if they are getting it adopted for say 5 years or so, then they may automatically get it. But because of the presence of a grandmother or a grandfather who occasionally visit, they are not at all bothered. So such children are available here in Kerala.
No, this is where I think you see the present guidelines for inter-country and intra-country adoption and CARA, etc. sometimes can be, not sometimes, often pose a huge challenge. So I think it's for governments to take this up and make out a more flexible policy. While as there is a need for policing and ensuring that children are not just taken away, at the same time where genuine cases are there, how this is to be managed. I mean, we also grapple with that in the courts. But at your end, it is really for the policymakers to evolve, because CARA is also an executive creation. So I think this is maybe there is another forum where we will have to discuss all this. Yes, I think Justice Srivastav.
Sir, you need to unmute, sir.
Justice Srivastav, you will have to unmute.
Sir, during this pandemic time, sir, am I audible, sir?
Yes, yes, you are.
Sir, during this pandemic times, this process of restoration has been badly affected, and the figure which has been shown by various states, and what has happened in our state is also that various functionaries which are involved in the process of restoration, they are not able to work to their fullest capacity because of the pandemic situation. So we put this message across everywhere that use technology as much as possible to hold various meetings, connections, video calls, etc. Now, sir, can we have a kind of a SOP issued on this in this after this meeting, this conference, that how the functionaries which are associated with the restoration and follow up of children in need of care and protection can use the technology and technological platform to improve their efficacy and efficiency.
I
Because
think
this
we have
pandemic
seen that this challenge has been voiced by many. This challenge has been voiced by a majority of the high courts of restoration, transportation, and follow up. Now, I think part of the problem, not part, a large part of it is the physical reality of the pandemic, and the second part is the unavail. Let's say the digital divide. The digital divide is also creating a problem. Let's not wish it away. So not every family, not every household would have a smartphone or something through which you can follow up in the minimum manner. So therefore, whatever protocols we create will also be based upon these limitations. And yet, of course, we can always create. And I would urge all the JJCs, like we have large states, we have smaller states. Larger states can do it perhaps more effectively on a central basis. I mean, smaller states, larger states will have to do it on a more decentralized basis, through district and taluk level, monitoring or something, and a reporting mechanism. But each one has to innovate, and I don't think at this stage we should just go for a centralized one. Again, we can give broad ideas and share broad guidelines.
If through this seminar we can get this message sent
Yes,
across
all right. Yes, thank you.
all over.
Now
that
I
the
think
government-
it's time. We have really overshot this discussion time also. I would, now we enter the next session on good practices on bail and diversion for children in conflict with law. And we have two participants, the Guwahati High Court and the Bombay High Court. The Guwahati High Court, I would welcome Justice N. Koteshwar Singh, the Acting Chief Justice. Is he there?
Yes, Lordship, I am here.
Yes, Justice Singh, Justice Koteshwar Singh, welcome. So please, the floor is yours.
Joined as Google, both you and Jiva.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Honorable Mr. Justice S. Ravindra Bhatt, the Judge Supreme Court of India and the Chairman of the JJ Committee, Supreme Court of India, R.N. Mishra, the Secretary of the Women and Child Development, Government of India, my esteemed colleagues from across the country of the various high courts and other functionaries, members, representatives of UNICEF. Before I go to the main issue which to be addressed, I just take just a few seconds of the profile of the state of Assam. Over 34 million people are there in Assam, out of which about 13 million are children below 18 years. This is the challenge before us. Well, of course, I represent not only the state of Assam, but also the states of Nagaland, Mizoram, and Arunachal Pradesh. However, for this today's purpose, I will be mainly speaking from the data available to me from the state of Assam. Of course, because of the periodic intervention of the Honorable Supreme Court, as well as our constant monitoring by the JJ Committee, we have been keeping a tab on the different institutions across all the 4 states about the numbers of JJBs who are operational, CWCs, special courts, and State Commission for Protection of Child Rights, etc. We found that yes, in most of the districts, they are all operational. One highlight, of course, is that the constitution of the high level committee under section 16 of the JGB Act, which is, I think, very important, which is headed by the executive chairperson of the Legal Service Authority, where other members, the social secretary of the social welfare, as well as secretary of the Home Department, are also members with an NGO. I think it's a very important forum where the judiciary and other state functionary can come together and meet once a while. At least the law requires that at least once in 6 months we meet and try to see what are the problems plaguing the entire the spectrum relating to juvenile justice system. So these are just a brief from our state. Well, as we all know, this COVID pandemic has created such a situation, difficult situation for the children in conflict in law, primarily on the areas that they are unable to apply bail on time, the fear of losing close ones, the sense of isolation and mental stress, the restrictions on physical movement, and disturbance on regular routine. These are some of these which have been felt in our interaction with these children in these institutions. These are the difficulties that have been faced, which have been sought to be addressed, especially after the intervention of the Honorable Supreme Court in WPC number 4 of 2020. Immediately thereafter, the state constituted a committee, the internal state level committee, on 16/4/2020, and held a meeting on 18/4/2020, consisting of the Commissioner Social Welfare Department, then Commissioner Disability, as well as Child Protection CP, as Child Specialist, UNICEF representative of the UNICEF in Assam, and other members. I really commend the state government for being very active and have taken a very proactive role in this challenging time by forming this committee. And the mandate of this committee, as we have been made to understand, is to collect this data really from these observation homes, JJBs, and CISL institutions, and analyze this and categorize crime-wise the heinous, the serious, the petty, and accordingly recommend the JJBs case-by-case basis to grant bail to the CICL. Now, our Juvenile Judicial Justice Committee, Juvenile JJB Committee of the High Court also have been monitoring this issue and interacting through video conference with the JJBs and issuing necessary directions for speeding up these bail matters. Department of Social Welfare also had instructed the DCPUs for ensuring timely sharing of information, necessary legal documentation, and required coordination between JJBs, police, parents, observation homes, staff, LPOs, legal cum probation officers, and instructed to file bail applications if the parents do not turn up. Online coordination mechanism also established by way of video conferencing facility or by WhatsApp group, etc., to speed up the procedures for release of the CCL. The result, I just brief overview of the result. What has happened is that during this period, till 25th of June 2020, in Assam, out of 41 in the age group of 7 to 14, we have been able to release 28 from the right side, one can see. Similarly, in the age group of 15 to 18, out of 109 cases in Assam, 56 we have been able to release. Similar in the case of Mizoram also, we have been able to release many children with the active cooperation of all the stakeholders. What are the good practices which have been adopted by different stakeholders from our experience in Assam? That there have been a fast tracking of analysis of cases where bail could be granted by the JJBs. The deputy commissioners, they have played a very important role. They have facilitated the process of appearance of the CICL through DCPOs before the JJBs, wherever the virtual platform were not available. The legal cum probation officers, they have also played a very important role. They have filed bail applications for the CICL in observation homes. Then pending social investigating reports were completed in a war footing within 7 days by the police with the support of the LPOs by child welfare protection officers. Then legal cum probation officers also took Zima, custody of the children whose parents did not take custody of the children or who could not attend the board due to lockdown situations. Other good practices we could find out was that the DCPUs units made all logistic arrangements, including steps for transportation by utilizing emergency funds like JJ fund and the DCPU fund. DCPU unit made arrangements for the funds where surety was required for releasing the children on bail. Flexible working hour, online review by way of video conferencing, WhatsApp, and quick decision making during lockdown period by duty bearers speeded up the process of granting bail. Case analysis, timely flow of information, and coordination among various protection structures, child protection structures, the JJB, DCPUs, AC, PS, CCIs, and trust ensured that the work was done on time. So these are the brief success story. What we can say portray is that, of course, the intervention of the timely intervention of the Honorable Supreme Court. Then in one case, the JJB, Juvenile Justice Board, Nagaon, scrutinized and found 13 out of 14 children in observation home, all eligible for bail. Then then the legal cum probation officer sent messages to the parents and guardians of the 13 children found eligible for bail. Then what is that? What transpired is that out of 13, 7 children, the parents of seven children, they came to pick them up. 4 children, the parents did not come. Then what did we do? The LPO filed Zima custody petition. These were allowed by the JJBs. And children with permission of CWC were kept in open shelter. Out of these 2 children, the status they fail under category of orphans, and the 4 children, the LPO successfully counseled the parents, whereafter the parents took their custody. Then in respect to orphans, social background reports revisited, legal guardians traced by joint efforts of both the protection officer and the LPO. And thereafter, the CWC, after examination, finally handed over the custody of the children to their legal guardian. So this one of the, I feel that where our JJB institution has done tremendously commendable work during these challenging times. What are the follow-up action taken by the state? I just briefly in front of everybody, the screen itself mentions the DCPU arranges counseling support online and offline, extended to families and children released on bail, and parents were encouraged to enroll children into nearby schools. The post-release follow-up of coordination mechanism was established through formation of WhatsApp group of children parents released on bail to keep track on their safety and well-being and necessary linkages. One important development which I noted, I have been associated with these e-committees of the High Courts. I remember in one of the meetings in Guwahati when Honorable Justice Madan B. Lokur was the chairman of the e-committee, I asked whether it is possible to bring this JJB institution also part of the e-courts. I was told that no, perhaps because the policy at that time was restricted only to the formal regular court system, and moreover, JJB's institution comes under this child welfare ministry, a different ministry. Therefore, there is a different issues which is yet to be resolved. But I found in Assam, laptops with all required facilities for video conferencing have been provided to the JJB's observation homes. For instance, webcam, speakers, and laptops have been provided to DCPUs to conduct online hearing by JJBs. I feel that this is a beginning where we can have a separate online kind of ecosystem for the JJB, which can later on be integrated with the larger ecosystem we have. Therefore, I think this is a very good step taken by the state of Assam in this regard. Well, I come to the issue of diversion. A juvenile diversion program implies a counseling method instead of formal court proceeding for juvenile offenders accused of criminal offenses. That is to divert young people wherever possible away from the penal systems into formal networks of control, support, and care. And there are various options available. For example, placing a child under a mentor for supervision and guidance, or compulsory attendance at school, vocational, or educational center, or positive peer association, or a good behavior order requiring the child to comply with certain standards of behavior, or an order prohibiting the child from visiting a specified place. I must say with all frankness that this is the area where we found lacking. We need to do a lot before we develop these diversionary provisions and options available to keep away the children from the institutional mechanism already in place. What are the key learnings which we can continue, which we have learned in these tiring, challenging times, which we can continue? It is that one, that on time issuing of guidelines, very important. The moment Honorable Supreme Court issued a direction to send all these instructions to the chief secretaries and other functionaries, we immediately did, and the state government immediately formed this internal committee also. So it is very important that on time issuing of guidelines, SOPs, instructions, and also interdepartmental coordination and timely sharing of information among key institutions such as SCPUs, DCPU, JJB, CWC, etc. They are very critical for proper, speedy justice to the children. The counseling support also, then post-release linkages, these are also very important. Then necessary legal documentation is also very important. We found, especially the social investigation report, individual care plan, and judicious use of JJB fund. There are some key elements for effective case management. And then, of course, the role of other departments I mentioned, such as education, health, panchayat raj, and rural development, labor, and support institutions such as SLSA, DLSAs are critical for development of a holistic rehabilitation plan. And of course, leveraging civil society organizations, which have been also highlighted by many speakers on other occasions. Now, what is the way forward? We need to have to consider this child protection as essential service under the Disaster Management Act 2005, so that there can be uninterrupted services that covers the requirement services of these vulnerable children. We must focus on robust case management approach. Perhaps all who are involved in judiciary can certainly share our experience in the case management which we are undergoing through e-courts project. Share our experience, ideas with these institutions. Then, what are the way? Mapping of services and opportunities. These are very important for effective implementation of the individual care plan. Of course, there need to be more investment on strengthening preventive services such as community-based child protection monitoring mechanism, family strengthening, addressing social norms and harmful practices, and use of other flagship programs of the state which have been mentioned. In fact, some of the states which you highlighted, the various state of Kerala also has done wonderful activities in this regard. So all this with focus and intra and inter-departmental convergence. So these are the few I thought I should in this short period to share with the August gathering. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Justice Koteshwar. Especially the last bit about your thoughts on the need to flag these child protection services as essential services, and effective coordination, intra-departmental convergence are very constructive, and I think we will all have to put our minds together. But at this stage itself, I will sound one note of caution. Maybe it's more of a personal one, that I think the suggestion that we should have more e-court hearings for JJBs is to be one which has to be tread cautiously, because as you are aware, the trials in criminal trials, there is no hearing in this lockdown and pandemic. In fact, all trials have been stayed. So if that is the position, then children are no less. In fact, they need even more individual attention. And once we move into the digital mode for children, I'm afraid the next step would be even CWCs could be moving into digital mode. Now, they have done it in this pandemic, it's fine. We have to, that's the minimum we could do. But I don't know whether it's an advisable thing to say that JJBs should hold digital hearings. So with that now, thank you, Justice Koteshwar Singh, for your presentation. Now we move on to the last presentation by Justice A.K. Menon from the Bombay High Court, who will also speak on the practices on bail, etc.
Yes, good afternoon to everybody. I'm aware that we are running a little behind schedule, but let me just quickly run through.
Justice Menon, don't worry, you can have your full 15 minutes.
Right,
No.
right. We have a short presentation, after which I have a couple of comments. So if we can just start the presentation. Now, bail, as you know, is start with the first one. Bail, as you know, is a critical window of opportunity for rehabilitation. And as far as we are concerned, we need to ensure that bail is granted at the earliest. Conditions imposed during bail make it very kind of persuasive, in the sense the children are made to understand that compliance is important. And once they know that, then they will ensure that they behave. Now, as far as Maharashtra is concerned, we have released 2,232 children during this period from April onwards. And there are only about 154 children in the observation homes. Now, it has been the norm in Maharashtra rather than the exception that even pre-pandemic we have been granting bail. Bail orders are not the standard bail orders, they go beyond the normal standards. And we try and ensure good conduct. And the bail orders are more than the ordinary, they are personalized in as much as, for an example, if you have children with addiction issues, we ensure that they attend the de-addiction centers. Of course, de-addiction centers are, we are a little short of de-addiction centers, but wherever possible, we ensure that they attend the de-addiction programs. And school-going children are asked to attend regularly. And in other places, they are made to attend vocational courses. Essentially, granting and executing of a person-specific bail was a challenge during the lockdown. In as much as with movement restrictions at all levels, there was a kind of hesitation on how officers could move around. And to that extent, we have tried and innovated. We have permitted the JJBs and the others to interact. Even our district judges have inspected homes by use of digital means. Now, very few cases where bail has been denied, can we just see that slide? Is those who did not have family support or support of kin, those whose homes were in containment zones, or those who are otherwise facing high COVID risk, those from other states who could not be repatriated, could not be sent back due to obvious travel restrictions, and those who have committed and alleged to have committed heinous offences. These are the categories where bail was not granted. Now, essentially, the CCIs granted they had lack of infrastructure. So there was no internet. In many of the places, there was no internet, no laptops. So counseling, psychosocial support was always a challenge. And in that respect, the CCIs, JJBs, and the district child protection units, they overcame it in an exemplary fashion. We allowed them to use personal devices, promoted calls on WhatsApp and other things, because everybody today is on WhatsApp, so that was not a problem. So it was only a mindset and a mental block that we don't have the facilities. Now this we could overcome by use of personal devices, and as a result of that, orders like diversion and community service, probation, group counseling, which were difficult to implement, we tried to make it a little more easier. And around May 2020, the children could be provided and the families could be provided counseling online and via computers, use of computers. The TISS iCall facility was used by the Department of Women and Child Development. UNICEF also undertook special training programs for self-care and psychosocial care for children. And wherever the CCIs and social workers could interact, these facilities were put to good use. As far as supervision, follow-up and monitoring are concerned, dissemination of information regarding COVID, which was a very important factor to be pursued. Its prevention, response to health concerns, these were provided to children remotely via mobile telephony and video calls. Food, ration, basic documentation requirements was assessed and livelihood of parents were factored in. Food supplies were reached to them. There were rations, there was food being wasted. We managed to get their act together. The state put their machinery in place and distributed food so that there was no wastage even during the pandemic. Children's education. This is in fact, this is a very material point which our secretary made, that a lot of these institutions were being used as hostels. And that was kind of, due to the COVID fear, many of the children left. They wanted to live on their own. And this is one factor which became very, very evident during the pandemic. As far as children's education and entertainment were concerned, vocational programs were being remotely delivered as far as possible. Vocational training and programs commenced post-lockdown. In Pune, for example, for 20 CCLs initiated the vocational training program for the observation homes. Restorative activities were carried out virtually by an NGO in very high numbers of children. Now the pictures that you see are pre-pandemic. So that's why you don't see the masks. I made it a point to find out how is it that so many people are sitting together and close together, but I was told that these are pictures taken pre-pandemic. The concept of belongingness, dispelling uncertainty, finding solutions, these are the issues which are engaging attention of the concerned stakeholders throughout. Family-based care was also included in the trainings, and with special reference being made to children on bail. In fact, the Maharashtra Judicial Academy held a conference wherein we had invited members of the faculty from NIMHANS. They have wonderful advice to give them, and all the JGV members have greatly benefited from that. The academy, in fact, pursues this and have they're scheduling further sessions with NIMHANS and other faculty. As far as vocational and educational support is concerned, police have started issuing the character certificates. Now, these character certificates will, of course, maintaining confidentiality, will help them get internships and jobs and other placements. This is an important area which requires some amount of focus. The delivery of vocational and educational activity is being now remedied. Tata Strive, ICICI Skills Center, ITI Institutes, Kotak Education, all of them are now resuming these activities. Seed money for financial support to enroll children in vocational training is being collected. The National Institute of Online Studies is also one of the options that is available to them. As far as counseling, psychosocial support is concerned post-lockdown and after the gradual reopening, we have stepped up the counseling. Small group sessions are encouraged. Restorative circles are being conducted. And financial planning, work ethics, career planning, and anger management are some of the areas that receive specific attention. Now, parents and children also undergo group counseling. This is the idea being to build bridges, enable understanding, and reduce the communication gaps. Therapeutic programs that support trauma, healing, transformation, and behavioral changes. These are pilot projects which are being scaled up in good time. The use of restorative circles and art-based therapy is specifically an area which has found favor. And it promotes the sense of cooperation amongst all parties concerned. Now, rehabilitation services who are for children who are, or dependent on substances, that continues to be a little bit of a challenge because of the lack of number of de-addiction centers that is being attended to. And progress is slow. We must admit that we have not really reached the ideal numbers, but it's on the way. Now, as far as recommendations are concerned, I'd like to spend a little time on this. The community service bail orders must be what we call life affirming, in the sense it can't be those standard orders which we passed. In the past, in our earlier conferences, we have come to learn that many of the social investigation reports are standard form reports. It's just the date and the number which is different. There is no personalized attention there. So therefore, bail orders in our view must be life affirming, they must be nurturing, they must, really take into consideration the trauma that the children have gone through. Now, this is one point that I'd like to make. There is something called the D factor. The D factor is the dark factor. It exists in all of us. Now, to assess the dark factor, there has to be an exercise. It could be, from smallest things of abusing and bullying. The children are so ethically, morally, and socially questionable in their behavior that this is an aspect that needs to be considered. So, if you have a D factor assessment, for instance, we can set up that facility in every state. And Mr. Chairman, our request to you would be whether it is possible to conduct an audit of every state and what they are doing, because at every conference we come across a presentation, and in that presentation there are so many good facts that come up, so many good plans. Now, whether this is actually happening, whether this is actually being taken forward is something we don't get. We don't get a assessment, we don't get a review of what has actually been achieved. Is it possible, therefore, for the Supreme Court committee to consider setting up of some kind of audit whereby the audit of each of these WCT departments is taken up? Whatever the state has done, the good practices can be shared. It will promote a sense of, in the sense, it's not the right use, but a sense of competition. In the sense we want to improve. If we want to improve it, where are we heading now? So unless an audit is done, in our view, it is not possible to ascertain and assess the progress that we are making. It is only at such conferences that we come together. And there have been now, thankful to Justice Bhatt, we have had the first one during the partial lockdown, which is still operational in many places. But we need to make progress on this. So therefore, we appeal to you whether we can consider this audit that will go a great way to kind of improve the system and ensure that we are meaningful in what we are trying to do. Now, every other day you see newspapers with the states proclaiming the amount of progress that is made, industrial progress, economic progress, what facilities can be offered. But do we find anything about children? Because they are our future. Now, for every state, the future of the children is something that must be factored in. I'm afraid we don't find anything of that. So these are aspects which will be highlighted if an audit is done. So therefore, that appeal to you, I'll leave it at that. Now, as far as the other recommendations are concerned, counselors, probation officers, they must be consulted while bail orders are being issued. When the JJBs and the police, wherever bail orders are being issued, in several cases, it is done even before the case is considered in detail. So it is mechanical. It's a kind of knee-jerk reaction, but at the same time, the personalization of these bail orders would go a great way to help the children build their future. Because ultimately, we're looking at restoration, we're looking at their rehabilitation. Now, virtual follow-up is becoming the norm, and it is crucial for stakeholders to get the contact details of the child to facilitate rehabilitation. It's not just enough to pass that order. I am told getting copies is an issue. So whether these can be taken care of is an aspect that needs to be considered. Several of the practitioners have that problem, and we constantly face these requests. Now, COVID has worsened the existing delays of hearings, and these children are not kept under supervision of the probation officers for sheer want of facilities of travel and personal issues that these people face. And they may therefore go off the radar and lose the support for rehabilitation. This is one other aspect that needs to be considered. Individual care plans must also be presented to the JJBs. So you can have a set of different options that are given to them. But this must be really closely inspected and prepared in consultation with the right kind of professionals. So as far as an action plan is concerned, we now propose that we should have some more upgradation of digital facilities for the JJBs, SJPUs, etc., so that digital delivery of services is more meaningful and it is practically achieved. Because we have large numbers in our state. As you know, we have released 2,232 and only 154 remain in these observation homes. Now, the art-based therapy and these other aspects have to be scaled up. We have various programs that were conducted pre-COVID at the Dongri home in Mumbai. And I believe that the programs were a big hit. They were interactive, and these programs, the state is now proposing to scale up and take it to their other districts as well. Of course, COVID has been a big bar, and we hope to overcome that in time. Alternative care, rehabilitation, as I mentioned earlier, de-addiction centers, these are aspects, mental health services, these must receive some more focus. At the moment, I believe we are falling short. As far as vocational training is concerned, we believe that we should go beyond the usual stitching and carpentry. There are so many options. It was quite heartening to see that in one of the states they had sent about 15 girls to for the I think for Bangalore for back to the Bangalore Institute for I think catering. This is something that is a positive impact. We have to think beyond stitching and carpentry. This is something that we have been saying for some time. Now, as far as the MIS is concerned, we have launched the site, but I think we need to accelerate the rollout. It's not really reached where it's supposed to. So, with those few thoughts, I now request the chairman, we can have our discussions, but do please give it a thought as far as the D factor is concerned. An analysis of the D factor would be crucial in promoting positive impact even after the bail. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Justice Menon. I think you have given us a lot of food for thought. D factor is something I'm unaware of, but and as I could perceive, it needs some kind of psychological evaluation. Now, whether
That's right.
the tools for it and how to do it, and whether it is being done elsewhere and its relative success is something we'll have to measure before plunging into a wholesale acceptance of that. Having said that, it's an useful thought which we should take home. But let me also express, I'm very happy that you mentioned about the audit, because this were exactly my thoughts which I shared with someone during the lockdown, that and I was told that the Supreme Court had told and the central government had set up a monitoring mechanism which went and visited a lot of institutions, and it took a lot of time to compile the results. But the way forward, according to me, is not to go by the census method alone, which is important, because the census method means that you go to every institution, every organization, that is every child care institution which is in a state, every observation home, every special home, plus also look at the JJBs and CWCs functioning, and then see how effective they are. That is one way of doing it. But according to me, there could be another way out which could be more periodic, which is based on random sampling, where you take representative samples based on geographical diversity and a lot of other diversity, maybe a 5% or 10% representative samples of every state, and that's something which is feasible. You do it on a periodic, annual basis. You start the process and then complete it, and at the end of the day, end of the year, you present the report. And I would add that, like in the case of the Government of India coming out with best industrialized states or best in the happiness index, or something like that, we should incentivize this publication of these rankings, number one. And perhaps WCD can take up the idea of conferring prizes at the state level, at the institutional level, and the individual level, so as to be an added incentive for harder work. We are all judges, you are all judges, senior judges, you are all aware that this is done at the in the National Legal Services Authority. The best authorities and the best people are given prizes. Maybe we should think along those lines. I would request all persons to give thoughts, their ideas, and share it with us so that we can try and work out a commonly acceptable blueprint so that it's in place during the coming year at least. With, I think with that, today's session draws to a close. So thank you all for your active participation and interventions also. Many of them have been extremely useful and insightful. I would be delighted to be with you again tomorrow and hope to hear more about it, more about your experiences in other states on other topics. Thank you. चलो आज हो गया हाँ ठीक हो हाँ 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 वो मुझे याद नहीं आया सुबह से